40-year-old Manny Acta, third year as the national skipper. And they are trying to get younger. And they're trying to acquire as much talent as they can. And the guy pitching tonight, batting in the 9 holes, one of the guys they want to build around, Jordan Zimmerman. Up top, Niger Morgan. They just picked him up from Pittsburgh. He's 28. Nick Johnson's a veteran. Ryan Zimmerman's all at 24. He's hitting .293. He'll be an all-star for the first time this year. You saw the rest of the lineup. The first pitch from Jason Hamill is high, ball 1 on Niger Morgan. Morgan celebrating his 1-week anniversary with the Washington Nationals.
And we've talked about Hamill's struggle here at Coors Field. At home record 1-2, an earned run average over 7. Out on the road 4-2, an earned run average under 2. 197. And, Mr. Morgan is the key to their engine. When he gets on base, extremely dangerous on the base pass. 21 stolen bases. He has been caught 10 times.
2 balls and a strike on Morgan, who's fared much better against righties and lefties. .323 average versus .145, and he pulls that foul. Marquise Grissom gets out of the way, and it's 2-2.
Well, surprisingly, more juice in his bat for a leadoff guy than I had anticipated when you seen first play when I saw him with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He's one of those guys that's not all that big, George, but he's well put together. He's strong. Curveball count, perhaps. Nope. Goes with the fastball. You got to hustle if you're Iannetta, and Chris with a gun to first gets Niger Morgan. That was almost in that gray area, George, where it's probably about 20 feet out in front of the plate, which makes it difficult when you have a guy like Morgan who can run.
Well, that and the fact that Hamill falls first base side, so he's got to redirect to get to the baseball, so really up to Iannetta to get there. Let's look at this scouting report of Mr. Hamill. A fastball 89-95, a riding fastball. Then you look at the curveball, 12-6 break, just like a clock, folks, right over the top, and then the hard slider with a late break, a lot of depth to it, the sinker, and fade on that on a changeup, which has made him, I think, the pitcher that he is.
First pitch missed to Nick Johnson. Johnson played a terrific ball game defensively last night. And that's at the top of the strike zone, 1-1. I was kidding him during batting practice. I said, you set another major league record. He had three assists in 1 inning last night, all on flips to Craig Stammen, the pitcher. That pitch was the changeup and a miss, 2-1. Johnson's done a lot of good things against the Rockies in his career. .360 average, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs. And another changeup that's just a little bit high, 3-1. That's the difference, George, with Hamill. I know he missed with those 2 changeups, but he will throw it in any count to keep guys off just sitting dead red.
Well, the thing is, his changeup's basically a BP fastball. I mean, because of the velocity, he'll run it up to 84, 85 miles an hour.
And he misses inside, so he walks Nick Johnson with 1 out. Let's take a look at the defensive alignment tonight for the Rockies. If you saw last night's ball game, you don't have to look. Gonzalez, Fowler, and Hop, Stewart, Tulowitzki, Barmes, Helton, and Iannetta. So Ryan Zimmerman will step up. Zimmerman earlier this year had a 30-game hitting streak and also was on base in 43 straight ball games.
Really worked hard today in batting practice. I stepped back and I watched Eckstein, Rick Eckstein, the hitting coach, work with him. Part of the things he was doing with the hands, he was starting high, dropping down about the armpit area, and then trying to load, and the ball was getting in on him a little bit. So what they're working on is start here with the hands. See the hands down a little bit. They're about 6 to 8 inches higher. Started down, hope to have a better result out of it.
0-2. There's Rick Eckstein. Works with David quite a bit during the offseason. David just went on the disabled list for the Padres. 0-2 on Zimmerman. 1-2. Like a year, George, or maybe even a little less, it separates Rick and David. They played together at Florida. Mark Stout was talking about that last night. Josh Fogg, one of their teammates there. Mark Ellis with the A's, and recently retired Brad Wilkerson, who used to be with the Nationals. On the ground at third, chance for two. There's one, there's two, head to the dugout. Good start for Jason Hamill. 5-4-3 on the turn. We'll see the Rockies with the bats when we come back to Coors Field on a Tuesday night. That is Tuesday night. Here's how you do it. Go to FSNinsider.com. Go to the Rocky Mountain homepage and click on the email the booth link. We make it as easy as possible for you. We'll answer your questions live on the air. Tracy Ringlesby will be posting questions and answering them online throughout the game as well. It's all brought to you by Office Liquidators and OfficeLiquidators.com. Colorado's largest selection and lowest prices of office furniture. Here's the Southwest batting order for Jim Tracy tonight. Dexter Fowler up top, then Barmes, Helton, Hop, Tulowitzki, Stewart, Ionetta, Gonzalez, and Hamill. Same as last night. Todd's been swinging the bat well, 5 for his last 12. And the first pitch from Jordan Zimmermann misses ball one. 3 rookies, George, opposing the Rockies in this series from the Nationals. And of all their young pitchers, and they like their young talent, this kid has the brightest future. He has very good stuff.
Well, look at his lower body. It reminds me a little bit of the way he wears his uniform of a younger Brad Penny. Big hips, big thighs, strong guy on the mound. Good upper body. He'll run a fastball up into the mid-90s at times. The one thing that Steve McCatty has straightened him out on is throw the ball to corner and attack the strike zone. Get out of the middle of the plate. And that's something that he's been able to do and done very well.
Ball 4. And he's not been walking a lot of guys. He works very quickly, and he's been loading up the strike zone of late. But he walks Dexter Fowler, and that's a no-no if you're Jordan Zimmermann.
Well,
here's the Fidelity scouting report.
92-96, you're going to see late sinking bore. What I mean is going to ride in on those right-handed hitters coming off of his arm side with that fastball, the curve, another 12-6 break. That is his out pitch. Now, the one tendency he will have with a changeup is he tries to throw it too hard. And when it does, it gets up into the strike zone. Then it becomes a pretty hittable pitch.
And he throws strike one to Clint Barmes. Obviously, nobody on the Rockies at the major league level has ever faced Jordan Zimmermann. Collegiately, highly doubtful. This kid went to Wisconsin Stevens Point. And the most famous athlete I can think of out of Wisconsin Stevens Point, Terry Porter, had a long and distinguished NBA career and then a coach in the NBA.
Well, this kid played tight end too. He received 300 yards receiving, so it tells you he's a pretty tough kid, because when he's not catching it, he's blocking some offensive tackle or another defensive end or a linebacker. So it's a tough kid. And he jumped up into the draft charts in summer baseball when he went to play in what they call the Northwest Woods League, which is up in Minneapolis, Minnesota area. And he went there in the summertime and led the league in earned run average, a little bit over 1. And pitched very well there. And everybody's like, man, who's this guy? And he jumped up there and became a sandwich pick for the Washington Nationals.
Fowler has seen 3 pitches now at first base, 1 and 2 on Barmes. It used to be George, we always called the 2-1 pitch the action pitch. I think more often in baseball now the 1-2 pitch becomes an action pitch.
Drew, I think so, because the reason why you're trying to stay out of a lot of double play balls. There's a lot of guys that hit the ball on the ground.
Oh, man, they picked him off.
Quick feet there. Man,
picked him off.
Quick feet.
Yep. And Guzman is going to chase down Fowler. And Dexter's erased. He just got frozen on that move.
You know what? I think, what is it, second time he's been picked off all year long. But as you see, watch his head. See it start to move? He was going on first movement. And I mean, Zimmerman had a snap throw. Snap throw, and then just ran down by Guzman at shortstop. See, I mean, that just one little bit quick of the shoulders, and then that snap move over there. You know, a lot of times, and I want to start watching this. And Doug, maybe you can watch it with me. But I watched a lot of times, because I would do this occasionally with Greg Nettles when he was playing third base with the Yankees. He had a base stealer. I would sit over and I would come set like I'm looking straight ahead, and I'd look at my third baseman. If he gave me a little tip of the cap, throw over. In other words, you didn't give it away by looking. Another base hit for Barmes, back up the middle. You allowed that third baseman to say too big a lead, in other words. Pick over to first base. Just a tip of the cap, pull of the jersey, number of ways you can do it.
Barmes hit the ball very hard last night, had a couple of hits, including a double off the wall. He starts out tonight with a base knock. Adam Dunn, Niger Morgan, Josh Willingham in the outfield. Zimmerman, Christian Guzman left side. Willie Harrison at second base for Ronnie Belliard. Nick Johnson at first. Josh Bard behind the plate. Willie actually plays more than Belliard does at second, though Belliard had to start last night. And a big swing and a miss by Helt. Fastball at 94 miles an hour. Tell you how tough this kid on the hill was. He got hit by a line drive his last year at Wisconsin Stevens Point, and he pitched the rest of the year with his jaw wired shut. He had a broken jaw, and it didn't stop him from participating.
Pretty tough way to go to the mound every time. You're obviously not going to grit your teeth a whole lot when you throw the heater. Wow.
With the departure of Willie Taveras and Matt Holliday, the guy who has the most stolen bases on the club the last year and a half is Clint Barmes. He takes off, and then he's going to go back. That was interesting. I thought, George, I was about to say, I thought he got a pretty good jump, and he shut it down about, a third of the way there. And had Josh Bard gone ahead and thrown to Nick Johnson, they would have had him.
Yeah, they would have had him. There's no question about it. Zimmerman with the snap throw down, and then all of a sudden holds on to it. I mean, to go into the plate that time, he was about 1-1-2.
Wow.
That's fast.
That's really fast. 1-2 on Todd. 2-2. Ball game last night ends up 1-0 in 2 hours and 12 minutes. Jason Marquis now 17 innings of shutout baseball. He had a 2 hour and 16-minute complete game shutout of the Dodgers in his last outing. This ball's fouled off. And it started out like the Rockies were going to have a huge night offensively. Remember, Barmes had the hit. Helton unloads a double on the first pitch he sees to left center field. Quickly, it's 1-0. Think, all right, man, the Rockies are going to really get after this kid's stamina. Didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen at all. But he had the benefit of 3 line drive double plays, too. I mean, some balls were hit awfully hard. But guess what? He went 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run given up, and takes the loss. Zimmerman, some other numbers to think about. The first 8, remember, we talked about him struggling. A lot of runs given up early. He was 2-2 with a 6 earned run average. His last 5 starts, he's 1-1 with a 212 earned run average. Obviously, things improving. Trouble out on the road, 1-1, 540 earned run average.
3-2, runner going. Bard double clutches, and he fires it over the head of Guzman. Backing up was Willie Harris, a stolen base for Clint Barmes, and for Barmes, that's his 7th of the year. So Helton is gone, 2 outs. Barmes in scoring position. Let's take a look at our Burt Automotive keys to the game. Frazier?
Well, I think one of the big things is going to be the offense. It needs to wake up with Hamill on the mound to give him a little bit of comfort out there so he doesn't get stuck in one of those battles that big-time tractor pull of trying to get some runs across. The defense in the bullpen, it will play a role. Hamill's going to put the ball in plate. The defense has been spectacular for the Rockies. So has the bullpen of late.
Brad Hopp takes a breaking pitch up high, ball 1. Brad just 2 for 13 so far in the homestand through 4 ball games. Rockies 2-2 overall. (2-0). Bradley looking for his first RBI in his last 5 ball games. Last ribby coming on June 30th. Still leading the club with 56, one ahead of Helton. Zimmerman had a no decision against Florida in his last outing, but good numbers, 2 runs in 6 innings, 6 hits, 6 Ks, 1 walk. Beat Boston 2 starts ago, went 7 innings, allowed just 1 run. That gets your attention. This ball toward the hole, out through base hit. Barbiser out third. He will score easily. So Brad Hopp coming through with 2 outs. What a surprise there. 1-0 Rockies.
And they're really finding the hole at first base with everybody pulled over because he's a pull hitter with a runner out at second base. And to find that hole, let's look on the Hyundai cam. Look at his front knee fly right open, which allows the upper half to open to get to the inside fastball. So when he does that, he's able to run this thing right through the right side and playing very deep in the outfield. Willingham, time he got there, the best thing he could do is just eat the ball.
That'll bring up Troy Tulowitzki. And Tulo takes a strike. 0 for 3 last night. In the air to deep right field and near the corner. The ball was not handled by Josh Willingham. There's not a lot of room there.
You know what? I think he's upset with Marvin Hudson a little bit because when he went over to get the ball, and I want to see it, if the fan got out over the area because Hudson ran into foul territory, he didn't go into fair territory. So when Willingham goes over here to get to the baseball, the AFC fan reached out and hit the baseball. But the umpire couldn't see it because he ran into foul territory down the line. He didn't stay on the line to see it. See, he's pointing at it right now, and the umpire's shaking his head no because he couldn't see it. He's got to run out into fair territory so he gets a better angle of it.
Well, Marvin couldn't see it, and that is a hidden area for us. It's the only hidden area. We have a great broadcast position. But there's about, what, 25 feet there, George, where it's hard for us to see.
Well, probably more than that. I mean, you're talking about right here at the line. Let's freeze it up right there, guys. You're talking about right from this guard over. You can't see anything back there when the ball gets in here. And, you know, as it rolling around, they catch it. What they do with it?
Let's see if the Rockies can take advantage of the break. Here's the 0-2 to Tulowitzki, and it's lined to right. Willingham coming on, and he makes the catch. In the inning, Clint Barbas with a base hit, a stolen base, and then Brad Hopp brought him around. Good start for Colorado. Goodman, George Frazier, and downstairs Mark Stout with tonight's Mike Shaw auto update.
Hey, Drew, let's talk a little bit about Adam Dunn. You mentioned that Zimmerman, the pitcher for the Nationals, played football. Everybody knows that Adam Dunn was going to play football at the University of Texas. He was drafted by the Reds in the second round. They let him play rookie ball June and July, and then he reported to the Longhorns redshirted that year. His best friend on that '98 Longhorns team, Ricky Williams, who was his video playing bud. I said, have you talked to Ricky Williams? He said, I haven't talked to that guy since he fell off the turnip truck. That's what he said today to me, even though Williams is, of course, playing with the Dolphins in the NFL. And I said to him, hey, did Mac Brown want to make you a tight end? Is that one of the reasons why you decided to play baseball? He said, no. Major Applewhite was there. They wanted to do the split quarterback thing where we would go quarter by quarter and split the snaps. He didn't want to do that. He goes, I had a plan B. I was 18. Maybe if I was 24, I would have stayed there. But he decided to play baseball. We're all happy about that. Also, then Chris Sims came in. That's my Broncos connection. And another quarterback that QB'd here in Denver, John Dutton of the Crush. Similar situation. He went to Texas. And he left because Mac Brown didn't have him quarterback, and he ended up going to Nevada. So just a little tie in there for you local football fans about the big man at the plate, guys.
Yeah, I think the one that put him over the top, obviously, he knew he had a baseball career in front. Here's the 2-2, and he's got it. The big deal was the fact that Chris Sims, who was the high school player of the year out of New Jersey, Ramapo High School in New Jersey, went to Texas, and Major Applewhite was a record-setting quarterback, so it became a kind of a fait accompli.
I really liked the sequence he worked on Dunn. Curveball, changeup, curveball, fastball up into the zone a little bit that he didn't catch up to. Good job by Hamill. Good job by Iannetta. And calling a sequence of pitches.
Here's Willingham, and that fastball rides inside. Let's take a look at our first email of the evening. This from Tad and Highlands Ranch. Are the Rockies the only team that are required to use the humidor, and can any other Major League Baseball team use it? The answer to that is, hold on a second, this ball's hit a ton to left field, and Willingham has tied it up. 1-1 as Willingham has hit his 10th of the year. We'll get to your question in a moment. He sat on a fastball, and Willingham could do that, George. He had a bunch of home runs in Florida.
Well, he did, and he got a fastball out over the plate a little bit where he could extend, and you get a look at it again on a Hyundai cam from center field. As you watch the pitch come right out of the hand of Jason Hamill, and watch how everything kind of explodes in onto this baseball. A lot of torque on that backside, in a way he brought his hands through the baseball. So he's going to be very short to the ball, but very long on the front side of that, which gets the carry on the baseball. And carried it up into the seats about 10-15 rows.
Here's Guzman. Well, to answer your question, baseball, Major League Baseball, they want everybody in every ballpark playing with the same baseball. That's why the humidor has worked in Colorado, and it's not controversial, because the baseball would shrink, it would get harder because of the altitude before, and now the specs are the same on the baseball played at Coors Field as they would be in Los Angeles or New York or Boston or anywhere else. Now, there had been talk of everybody in baseball, all stadiums using a humidor, but I don't know what's come of that,
That's
George.
not going to happen. But the one thing inside that question that came out and said, are they required to use it? No, it's not a requirement. They went to Major League Baseball and solicited the fact to be able to get it, to put it here and be a part of this. That was the big thing. They wanted it here in this ballpark. There's talk of trying to put one in Colorado Springs to watch to help the fly to the ball and be more true baseball there also.
Well, it'd be a natural. So the guys that are working down in Colorado Springs, when they get to call the big leagues, George, I mean, it's the same dynamics for them.
Absolutely.
And by the way, let's show back to Franklin Morales is here. This ball's hit well by Bard to right field, and this one is off the wall. And Bard is good. Yeah, Bard thought it was a home run and ends up at a 375-foot single. Good selling job by Brad Hopp. He just kind of hung out like that. That's in the bullpen, and he held him to a single on reputation and on what they saw last night.
That's all part true, but I think Bard thought it was out of the park when it left the bat as much as it was here. Now, you watch the swing on the Hyundai cam. He unloads on this thing. I mean, he hit this ball as good as he could possibly hit a baseball. And then when he runs up the line, see, I mean, this is like, all right, I got me a little home run here. That is a soft job. That is a home run trot. You know, wide to the first base side, and he looks up and goes, whoop, that ball didn't get out of here.
I agree with you, George. I will say one thing in Josh's defense. He has a groin injury that would keep most guys on the bench, and you can see him kind of jogging a second right now. So I don't know if he would have been able to turn that into a double either way. In the inning, Josh Willingham hits his 10th of the year. All solo home runs. 1-1. Nice to meet you. Take care. You bet. Thanks. 1-1 ball game, bottom of the second inning. Rockies will have Ian Stewart, Chris Iannetta, and Carlos Gonzalez. A reminder that when the Rockies score 7 or more runs, a good place to go the next day is your participating Colorado Taco Bell locations. And if you do, this ball's bounced to second. You'll get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink between 4 and 6 the following day. One out, Chris Iannetta coming up. Matt emails in with the activation of Franklin Morales. What will be his role with the club? Well, he's going to work out of the bullpen. And I think once Jim Tracy gets his feet wet down there, with Randy Flores being optioned out, his role will develop from there. I mean,
well, I think
you're not going to throw him in the 8th inning on day one.
The one thing I like about him being there, his ball is shot right back up the middle. Zimmerman will handle it on Iannetta. One thing I do like about him being down there, the ability, one, to punch out a left-hander. Number 2, he can strike out right-handers. And he has that ability. He's pitched well down at the Springs, or pitched better, I should say, down at the Springs. His command of the strike zone is what it was at the tail end of 07. So now you're not so fearful to run him out there in the 7th inning in a 1-run ball game and have him pitch an inning. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a left-left matchup, because he has the breaking ball changeup combination to go with a plus fastball to be able to handle it.
Carlos Gonzalez at the plate.
But you know what? To make room in a starting rotation, somebody has to falter over a period of time to open that spot up. And the way De La Rosa might be the only candidate, and De La Rosa has pitched so well his last 4 or 5 starts that it would be difficult to do that.
Tell you what, George, focusing here on Carlos Gonzalez. Last night, I know he was an offer. He had good at bats, and he acknowledged it before the game in a conversation. He misses there. It's 2-2, but his at bats, as opposed to running up there and he's quickly 0-2, swinging at everything, he's taking the ball the other way a little bit. He's cut down on his swing. Let's see how he does here with 2 strikes.
By the way, Morales, 37 strikeouts in 41 innings down there. He'd walked 19, so almost 2-1. That is good.
3-2. That's a good swing. This kid's impressive, George. He's got a short arm, man. It's quick. 95, 96.
Very quick arm. And this is something, when I talked to a number of National League scouts today and asked them, have you seen Zimmerman? And they said this kid could develop into a number 2 starter at the major league level. He stays on plane. He stays where he needs to be. He sinks the ball, cuts it. He's got a little slider to it. I'll tell you, Steve McCatty's done a nice job. Randy St. Clair was there for a number of years in Montreal and then came to Washington. And then Steve McCaddy came over and took it over. And as I mentioned last night, what he has done, and of course he pitched for Billy Martin and a lot of winning teams. He was a very good major league pitcher. Is what he has done is he said, quit pitching to their weaknesses, which is your, go to your strength. Because a lot of times a hitter's weakness is the pitcher's weaker weakness, if that makes sense to you.
Inside on Hamill. That was a good at bat right there by Carlos Gonzalez. A couple of borderline pitches that he saw well and realized they weren't in the strike zone. George, as you know, a few days ago, he's hacking at that.
Well, I think the important thing is Tracy has him batting 8th in the lineup, all right? Well, what's one of the hardest things to do is try to flip the lineup over and get Hamill up that if he does make the out with 2 outs, you got Dexter leading off the next inning. In order to hit there, and we've seen Ionetta do it for years, but in order to hit there, you have to be patient. You have to work counts. You have to do things, and I think that's good that Jim put him there to force that situation. Randy Marsh just took a pretty good shot. Randy, a veteran umpire, he's been around the big leagues 20-plus years. You know what he's famous for, Drew? His most famous moment in all of baseball?
Go ahead.
Threw me out of a game. Winter ball in the Dominican. I was a young minor leaguer, worked pitching in the Dominican. He was a young minor league umpire trying to get to the big leagues. Both of us were. Playoff game. John McNamara. Imagine me having a foreign substance on a baseball. Took it right off the shoulder. Had my hat checked, and Randy tossed me. And he said, give me the baseball. And there's 30,000 there at the ballpark. And he said, give me the baseball. I said, you want it? Go get it. And I threw it in the parking lot. One of my finer moments I was very embarrassed about in baseball.
This is a base hit up the middle. Gonzalez will stop at second. That's the second hit of the year for Hamill.
Well, remember that Hamill almost won his own ball game the other day in L.A. with a deep drive to right center field. You flip things over. You got good speed out at second base on the Hyundai Cam on a ball out over the plate. Long arm, 6'7", got to it, just took it right back up the middle. This is what happens to a lot of young pitchers, though. The ability to close out an inning. 2 quick outs, and all of a sudden you get it. Then you give up a walk on a 2-out walk with a pitcher up next. And I think a lot of times young pitchers say, you know what? If I can get Gonzalez, I'll start the inning off with the pitcher, and I'll be ahead of the game.
I'll give you an example of it. Ubaldo Jimenez is farther along, obviously, than this kid Zimmerman. Is fouled off quickly at 2-strike count. He had a pitch he loved back in Dodger Stadium against Randy Wolf. He slowed the ball down to his bat speed instead of, blowing him up with one of those 98-mile-an-hour fastballs, and it cost him.
Probably wish he had one back against Mark Reynolds, too, on a 1-2 count.
Yeah, going back to that, George, I'm glad you brought that up, because to me, and I said this last night, everybody's talking about that. Forget that pitch. It's the 8 balls that he threw to the 2 previous guys.
2-1 changeup, 3-1 changeup. To a guy that couldn't hit it out of the ballpark if he threw it up twice.
Well, no harm done as Zimmerman able to strike out Dexter Fowler with 2 aboard. It is a 1-1 ball game as we go to the 3rd. Subaru. Lease a new Impreza for only $179 a month. By Dex, take the sport out of finding local information with Dex. Find what you need when you need it. Print online at DexKnows.com. And by the great Colorado Payback, reuniting you with your money. Very pleasant evening, a bit warm at Coors Field. Rockies and Washington Nationals both tied at 1 as we go to the top of the third. It is George Zimmerman, who's a very good athlete. We're talking about his football prowess. He also was a DH quite a bit when he was at Wisconsin Stevens Point. He's not that far removed from his collegiate days. So you've got to respect his ability to swing the bat, though. He's just 2 for 22 right now.
07 senior sign draft. That's pretty good.
This is chopped foul.
All-conference hooper in high school.
That's one of the things, George, and you know this. I mean, Parker was a good basketball player, and he's pitching in the Rockies organization now in the South Atlantic League. Scouts, a lot of scouts like to go to hoop games, like to go to football games, see how a guy they're looking at fares in other venues.
Well, there was a number of times during Parker's senior year that there would be anywhere from 3 to 5 scouts at a high school basketball game. Did he take charges? What did he do? Rebounding and all that stuff.
Get foul. Fair ball. Zimmerman didn't realize it was going to drop fair. Zimmerman stayed in the batter's box.
I didn't either.
Well, I was looking at his reaction, and the hitter knows better than anybody, you know, when there's slice on the baseball. And he just stood there figuring, oh, it's going to be 10 feet foul.
Man, oh, man. Shattered the bat. Yeah, broke the bat. Broke it right in his hands. I don't know. I don't think he knew where the ball was.
I think you're right, George. I don't think he had any idea where the ball was.
He looked to left field.
Nigel Morgan up there, and Morgan hits the center field pretty deep, but Fowler will get that. 1 out. That'll bring up Nick Johnson. It will also take us to our next email question. Grant, what is the difference between a breaking ball and an off-speed pitch? Well, breaking ball is an off-speed pitch.
Well, it's not a lot different. The only thing you do is you take a little bit of velocity off, and the way you take velocity off of a ball is if you take the ball and jam it back into the hand. Well, more friction against the baseball is going to create a drag on the baseball. So when you do something like that, that's the reason you'll see a curveball maybe at 78 and you'll see one at 74. And what it amounts to, you know, most time when you throw a curveball, and you'll see there's a little daylight in here with my finger. Well, if you take that and pull that back into it, now you have a lot more friction on the baseball. So when you have more friction, it's going to be more drag to the ball, so you reduce the velocity of the baseball.
What is going on here? Why do you still have a little sandpaper right there?
Well, I got sandpaper here. And don't forget what Gaylord taught me. I'm not fixing my hair.
Oh, boy.
That's all right. Super sinkers, man.
2-0 on Nick Johnson. Nick walked his first time up. Zimmerman at first with 1 out. The Nationals are 9-30 on the road. They have the worst overall record in baseball. They also by far have the worst road record, and that's pulled in the hole, a base hit. Zimmerman will stop at second, and not a bad idea there, throwing behind him to Tulowitzki. So 2 on for your 3-hole hitter Ryan Zimmerman, no relation. Got another email. This is from Zach. When a team like the Nationals has the worst record in baseball, what do you try to do as a club the rest of the season to work on things? If you're Manny Acta, George.
Well, I think it's more than anything, it's all facets of the game. Hitting with runners in scoring position. I think it's the defense. Obviously, this young pitching staff, tomorrow's starter. Detweiler's a guy that's a young left-hander, first-round draft pick.
That's line foul by Zimmerman. Well, they're trying to get younger. You're trying to get more gifted. They drafted Steven Strasburg, who was the unquestioned #1 pick, the kid who threw 104 miles an hour at San Diego State, and he would consistently work 98 to 102, as crazy as that sounds, for Tony Gwynn. He wants, naturally, a boatload of money, and it's going to come down to August 15th whether they can sign him. That pitch just missed. highlights on the Nationals' #1 pick.
Well, here's the thing about it now, Drew. You're into July. You're in the middle of July. He hasn't thrown in a game since the conference playoffs. It's been a while. So the problem you run into, I should say the regionals, excuse me, against Virginia Beach. The thing about it, to get his arm, regardless of what he's throwing, bullpens or whatever he's doing to keep his arm in shape, long toss, all those things you do to stay in shape, it's not pitching in a game. And when you get to pro baseball, things change. And you're going to do things a certain way in pro baseball. And so, you know, if he would have signed immediately after the draft, we'd probably be watching him here in this series. But because of this long delay, he's delaying the start of what could be a wonderful career.
Well, Strasburg, George, the most talked about amateur player in years and years. And now the next most talked about amateur player is a junior to be in high school in Las Vegas, a catcher by the name of Bryce Harper, who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated a couple weeks ago. This is pulled foul, thankfully. Well, Bryce Harper is trying to work it out so he can get his GED and get drafted next June as opposed to having to wait. He's 6'4", 2 1/4, and he runs well. He throws 96 on the mound. He hits mammoth home runs with wood bats. He's just an extraordinary prospect. The Nationals, George, have a chance to have two of the most talked about amateur players in the last 15, 20 years because they likely are going to have the first pick again next year.
Well, and again, this is a kid, his dad lost his job in Vegas, so he's moved back to Oklahoma City with his grandmother, with his mother. And the young man has moved back there also, playing some summer baseball. But he wants to go to junior college in Nevada.
Here's the 1-2. And now it's a fastball that missed location. It wasn't that far outside, but Ionetta had set up inside, and he had to reach across and grab it. Zimmerman rolled into a 5-4-3 double play. But if those guys are as good as advertised and can arrive in the big leagues fairly quickly, you know, you're talking about not only putting fans in seats, but hopefully changing your fortune. Center field and real deep. Fowler is not going to catch up with this. Nobody will. 3-run home run for Ryan Zimmerman, his 14th of the year, and it's now 4-1. Well, in batting practice, George, with the heat, the ball was flying. I didn't think he hit that home run well.
I didn't either. I thought Bard's ball was hit harder than that one. But obviously he did, because he got out of the ballpark on the Hyundai Cam. I tell you, dropping the hands, and they really had talked about that in his first at bat. Now the hands came down here to level with his chest, and the swing. That is a strong man with some bat speed. He hits the ball out into right center field, up into the Nationals bullpen.
Well, the Rockies behind 4-1.
Well, this is
why this lineup's scary.
It is scary. You got guys going to leave it out of the yard in a heartbeat. The 4-hole hitter this year has only hit $125 against Mr. Hamill. Let's see what he does with a strikeout earlier of Mr. Dunn.
Shift is on for Adam Dunn. 1-1 count.
All right, the voting's not over now for the All-Star game, so make sure you do that. Jump onto the computer at ColoradoRockies.com and cast your All-Star game final vote for the final two All-Star spots for the game in St. Louis. Now, you've got to do this between July 5th and July 9th. So make sure you get busy, get it handled, get them in.
Brad Hott makes the catch, and that is the second out. And that'll bring up Josh Willingham, who had a solo home run last inning. Let's check another email. Brian down in Colorado Springs. The Rockies have started 1-0 in the second half of the season. Which part of the season is more difficult, George? All right, and it's a hard question, Brian. Do you mean by, I don't know if you mean by schedule or typically which part of the season is more difficult? I would say I didn't play, George. You did. I was in the second half. That's when everything's determined, right?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. You know, I've played on a couple of teams that in September, when you're 20 games out of first, you can't wait for hunting season. I mean, you just want it to get over with. You want to get out of the ballpark. You want to get away from the hecklers because everybody thought you're going to be good. And that drags the season out even farther. They talk about the dog days of August. Well, that's part of the dog day part of it. if you're out of it, you're just not comfortable. Here's a shot that Tulowitzki won't get to. So now, you know, if you're in it, you're 1 or 2 games, 6 games back, and you're getting into the division race, I'll guarantee you, folks, if you ask anybody last year with the Tampa Bay Rays or the Colorado Rockies in 2007, nobody was tired. They were having a blast the last month of the season. Winning cures a lot of bad things.
For what it's worth, it's still very early, but on July the 7th, here's the wild card race. The Rockies and Milwaukee 2 games behind San Francisco. Guzman and the runner going, and a stolen base for Willingham. That caught the Rockies by surprise. That's just his 3rd stolen base. Manny Active being aggressive with a 4-1 lead. Josh Fogg, who we haven't seen since
June 24th in Anaheim.
Is getting loose because Hamill has got knocked around a little bit here in this inning. He's given up 4 hits.
That's one thing about being a long guy down in the bullpen. You know, it's difficult for you to go out and pitching one game and having just pitched the 9th, and then if something happened like this with your starter the very next day, if you happen to have a long inning, and wouldn't have the ability to get through it.
.3-0 on Guzman. You have a hot hitter up next in Josh Bard, hitting better than .350 in the last month plus. He's had 3 hits in the last 2 days. Guzman, the former Twin. Hit better than .300 each of the last 2 years in a Washington uniform. He's well above the .300 mark this year. He's one of those guys, one of the 5, George, that fans are voting on now to add to the All-Star game. Pablo Sandoval's leading in the National League. That's a strike.
You know, and the kid, both players are deserving, but Sandoval's done a great job. I mean, this kid's hit .313. Don't get me wrong. The 3 home runs, 21 RBIs. Sandoval's really carried the Giants a long ways offensively.
He hit a slam last night. He's hitting .332. This is popped up left side. Gonzalez coming hard. Tulo going out. It'll be Tulowitzki. In the inning, 4 hits, a 3-run home run off the bat of Ryan Zimmerman. And it is a 4-1 ball game favoring the Washington Nationals. Nationals ahead 4-1. They've hit 2 home runs tonight, so the Rockies have to battle from behind. They took a 1-0 lead in the first. A Barmes single. He stole second, and then an RBI hit by Brad Hawk. Clint Barmes leading it off here in the 3rd inning, and that pitch is in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Barmes with the base hit in the 1st inning raises his average to 282. Hit 290 last year. That's off the plate, according to Randy Marsh. 2-1. This guy Jordan Zimmerman, George, there's no messing around between pitches. Huh?
No, and that's something McCaddy pitched much of the same way. Catch and throw, and let's get it going. And a lot of times, and I'm a big believer of this, I really think that if you're quick on the mound as far as catching the ball and the delivery, look at Jason Marquis. Catch the ball and go. Aaron Cook, catch the ball and go. You know, same thing with Ubaldo. You keep the hitter like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm trying to get my thought process going on what you're doing here. You know, sometimes you can gain the advantages out of that. All the walking around the mound and the drawing in the dirt. Not a big favorite of that, can you tell?
Yeah. This ball pulled foul. Good hands by Barmes. That fastball 94 with tail on it. And he got the bat head out, Frazier.
Yes, he did. And on a ball where he really had to jump that front side out of the way. Bard wants this ball down, not down. A high fastball, lead off the walk for Clint Barmes when you're in the heart of this, right in the heart of this Rockies lineup. Let's look at that scouting report on Zimmerman again.
By the way,
we'll talk about this a little bit. The late sink and pour on the reaction on that fastball at 92-96, curveball 12-6 break, 79 to 81 miles an hour. The slider 84-88. What I mean by good depth is it really breaks out of the strike zone. You hear guys say he's got teeth on that slider. The only thing with his changeup, he can have a tendency at times to get too much velocity behind it, and it gets up into the strike zone.
Just the 16th walk for Clint Barmes. That's the fewest walks among the guys that play most every day. Helton struck out his first time against Zimmerman. And he fouls that back. I was going to give you a hard time because when you said hard, you left the R out for a second. I thought I thought you'd moved to Boston on us.
Hard, the dog to go with it.
Yeah.
39% of all leadoff walks this year in the National League and American League have scored. 39%.
1-2. Rockies 19-17 at home, 24-22 on the road. One of 3 teams in the National League with winning records both home and away. The Dodgers, the Cardinals, the other 2. And the Dodgers in New York for a set with the Mets, beating up New York 6-0. Manny Ramirez earlier in the ballgame, a 2-run single. Mets are awful right now, George.
That is. Is there any word on the Mets ball club when they're going to get all their players back? Another month, Doug's telling us. Obviously, Doug follows the New York Mets. It's going to be about another month before they get back. Beltran, Delgado probably not. Yeah? And Reyes. I mean, those are 3 all-stars. 3 are the biggest ones. John Main's out. I mean, this club's pretty beat up right now. And yet, they're only trailing 4.5 games out.
Now the Rockies roll into New York at the end of this month. Hopefully they'll come back right after the Rockies depart.
Yeah, really. I mean, that would be a good thing. Florida just 2 back, 43 and 41 right now behind Philadelphia.
And the way the schedule works this year, the Rockies play the Mets in New York 4 times. 2-2 on Todd, back up the middle. Oh, man.
There's that athleticism Drew talked about. I mean, that ball was hit right on the button, and Zimmerman just reached down and gloved the baseball like he was playing catch, and somebody gave him a low throw.
Yeah, that's a huge play. You're talking about 2 on and nobody out. Now there's 2 outs, nobody out.
Watch how he finishes. See how he squared to home plate. He didn't fall left or right. He doesn't push off of the rubber either way. Last night, the Rockies ran into this 3 times, and Helton thought he had a single right back up the middle. Zimmerman bends down, picks it, and has the double play.
That is really remarkable that it's happened this number of times in the last game and a half. Adam balls. RBI single for Hop in the 1st inning. 57th run batted in. 1-2. No swing. That's Angel Hernandez. Guzman on the backhand will throw to first in time to get hot. Good play by Christian Guzman. In the inning, a walk to Barmes and a line drive double play off the bat of Todd Helton killed the rally. 4-1 Washington. What's the Rockies' record for consecutive scoreless innings by a starting pitcher?
7,228.
That's not close.
Well, that's what you told me.
George, that'd be a big league record. Josh Bard will lead it off out of the 7-hole against Jason Hamill, and he takes outside ball 1. The single for Bard was off the wall in right center field. I think he thought it was a home run. Also, he's nursing a groin injury. Let's take a look at another email. Zach, what are the chances that Jason Marquis gets the nod to start in the AL All-Star game? That's a good question. It's a really good question. You know, I think there's going to be some sentiment for Tim Lincecum, George, in that Lincecum got hurt late last year or sick. He got sick that day, didn't he? And he couldn't pitch.
Yeah, but part of it is going to be too.
Reigning Cy Young?
No. Yeah, reigning Cy Young. But I think the big thing is going to matter who starts on Sunday, who starts on Saturday. Are they available on Tuesday, or they're not? So, I mean, you know, our guy's going to start Saturday or Sunday. Saturday's ball game. So, I mean, his normal bullpen day would be Monday. So he could probably give you an inning in that game if he wants, if they want him to. But as far as, you know, you got to look at, is Lincecum going to start Sunday or when they're going to start? How's it match up? Because as a manager of the All-Star team, last thing you want to do is get a pitcher hurt from the opposing team. And with 7 of those guys for the National League West, you got to be real careful with it.
Willie Harris, ground ball to second his first time up. But that's a legitimate question.
Sure it is. Well, he's 11 wins. Leads all of baseball.
Lincecum throws Friday, I think. Am I right, Doug? Doug's going to check that out.
Then he'll probably, if he's throwing Friday, he'll probably get the start. Not that Jason doesn't deserve it, but Lincecum will probably get the start.
And just by the fact that he throws Saturday, I'm guessing Marquis gets in that ball game. Help with a good pickup, runs to the bag. Willie Harris is retired. I guarantee you there's one guy that they won't get to pitch on Tuesday. He's not an all-star. He's been many times in the past. Randy Johnson, as we look at our Exempla Lutheran Medical Center injury report. Strained shoulder, placed on the disabled list today, and he's going to miss obviously at least a couple of starts. 8-6 this year. He's moved over 300 wins in his career.
Well, Sanchez will go into the rotation again. He'd been down on the bullpen. They brought up Kevin Franston. Remember, this second baseman had done such a good job for them. Had an injured toe, an Achilles problem. Has hit over 320 to AAA level this year for them, and has called to the big leagues to take Randy's place on the roster.
How about this injury today? Ryan Dempster, is actually yesterday, went on the disabled list with a fractured big toe, hopping over the dugout rail to celebrate Sunday's win for the Cubs against the Brewers. He's gone for about a month.
Yeah, that's not good.
But Dustin Moore, when he got hurt, celebrating opening day.
Yes.
2-1 on Jordan Zimmerman. Fouled off 2-2. Two outs, nobody on in the Nationals half of the fourth inning.
The strangest for me, Lincecum pitches Thursday, by the way, so he'll probably get that Tuesday nod. The strangest for me was when Sammy Sosa sneezed and threw his back out and was out for had to be out for a while.
.67 pitches in the fourth inning for Jason Hamill, looking for his first 1-2-3 inning. 2-2, and that's fouled off. This guy's a battler. There are guys that act like they belong, and right now Jordan Zimmerman acting like he belongs. 3-2. You okay?
Well, Doug just gave me a note. He said the other one that was pretty funny was Glenn Allen Hill. Can we have a shot? Is it Glenn Allen in the dugout? I'm sure he is. Yeah, he's studying a book right now down on the first base corner. Glenn Allen had a nightmare about spiders and jumped out of bed and he fell through a glass table. He was on the 15-day DL for a while.
Doug
knows everything,
Dougie. Glenn Allen about that.
Spiders, look out!
Work to do for the Rockies, down 3 runs as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Tulowitzki to lead it off. Our Affleck trivia question again reads, Jason Marquis has a 17-inning scoreless streak. What is the Rockies' record for consecutive scoreless innings by a starting pitcher? Well, it's a tie.
Didn't I say, what did I say, 7,000 something?
Yeah.
Was I off?
Just by a little. Denny Nagel, 20 innings. And Franklin Morales, late 2007. Went 20 scoreless. Tulowitzki doesn't get the fastball there. It's 1-1. Now the Rockies' record is 29 1/3 by Gabe White, all out of the bullpen. That great year he had in 2000. I think he was like 11-1 or 11-2, something like that.
Won 11 games, yeah.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
The longest streak of games appeared or innings pitched without a loss, I think, was Mike DeJong. Started at the start of his career. It was something ridiculous.
Good man, Mike DeJong.
Yeah, living down in Louisiana now, raising the boys, having fun. I get a call from him every Christmas, every Thanksgiving. Good man.
Tell you what, as good an athlete as Mike is, he has to take a back seat at home to his wife Holly.
Just because you drilled her, I still can't believe you hit her. 92 appearances to start his career without a loss.
She's a good hitter,
my partner. Well, a couple of things he did. One, not that you really care, but at fantasy camp, Drew drilled Mike DeJong's wife as she hit at the plate.
Well, you taught me that. You said if they crowd the plate, you said, I don't care who it is, if they crowd the plate, you said drill them.
Drill them, and then he
I was just listening to what you taught me.
Exactly. And then he topped it off by hitting Clint Hurdle's father twice, who was in his 70s.
You know what? If Clint Sr.'s looking on, what a wonderful man. I still feel bad about that.
Twice you drilled him. Not once, twice.
I don't have good control. This ball looped to short right. It'll drop for a hit. Good start to the inning. Tulowitzki will lead off knock in front of Ian Stewart and also in front of Mark Stott. Mark?
Hey guys, I'm out here in left field. Behind me, by the way, is the Academy All-Stars from the Springs. They've got everybody from the 9-year-olds to the 12-year-olds who are going to start play this Saturday in the districts. This date in history. On this date, a couple of things happened with Satchel Paige. First of all, they think he was born on this date in 1906. And then in 1942, he was signed by Cleveland. And he started in the big leagues there. The next day he got a win. Satchel Paige, of course, was a living legend. He died in 1982 at the age of 75, would have been over 100 years old. George, I'm going to get you some of his quotes here as the game goes on, because I know you'll appreciate some of Satchel Paige's quotes.
Well, George actually knew Satchel Paige, Frazier.
Yeah, I brought him out on the field for his last public appearance on a baseball field in Springfield, Illinois. A. Ray Smith was the owner of the AAA Cardinal team. And every homestand he would bring Satchel in, and he'd sit in the bullpen and tell stories, talk. What a fun guy to be around. Coat and tie every time I've ever seen. Had a coat and tie on, sitting down in a bullpen. Springfield, took him out on a golf cart.
George, you talked about your super sinker. Here's a Satchel Paige quote. I use my single windup, my double windup, my triple windup, my hesitation windup, my no windup, and I also use my step and pitch it, my submariner, my sidearmer, my bat dodger. Man's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, and at the end of that, he said, if he don't look back, somebody might be gaining on you.
You know, I was going to tell this story on the 4th of July, and it applies because we're talking about Satchel Paige. Do you know when he was playing in the Negro Leagues, on the 4th of July, he once pitched a ball game, I think in Indiana. This ball is lifted to right center field and deep. Did Ian Stewart get it? Off the top of the wall, Stewart to second. Tulowitzki had to wait to see if there was going to be a play on it. Goes to third. Second and third, nobody out. Ian Stewart, he is so strong, George. He just reaches down kind of one hand, so it's about 400 feet off the wall.
Yeah, look at this pitch. It's going to be a breaking ball down in the strike zone. Bard went down to go get it, and then that big sweeping swing of Ian Stewart drives the ball out into right center. Morgan backed away to be the guy to take it off of the wall. It could not be caught by Willingham. Second and third, bottom half of the lineup being asked to come through to tighten this game up.
Chris Iannetta hit a comebacker his first time. Outside very quickly. He pitched a ball game in that afternoon and then got on a train, went to the Chicago area, pitched another complete ball game. Two complete ball games, and I think they were both shutouts.
Look at Cy Young's record. I mean, 512 wins.
This ball is ripped to left field. Should be deep enough. Dunn makes the catch. Tulowitzki comes home. Throw goes in the direction of third. 4-2. So Chris Iannetta gets one home. 29th RBI for Iannetta.
With one out, let's see what Manny Acta does at Coors Field. Minimize the damage. See if he pitches to the young Gonzalez. or put him on. And even I know Hamill had a base hit earlier, but your probability just increases. But you could bunt him over to second and third. Then you've got 2 outs, and I understand all that. I'm just wondering if he's going to try to minimize some damage here or not. Apparently not. He'll go right at Gonzalez. Maybe the struggle's a 188 average.
That's why the game for a manager moves so quickly, George. I mean, you in 10 seconds went over a couple scenarios. Well, do you walk him, you set up the force, but you're going to get a bunt, and then if he gets it down at second and third, tying run at second, you got your leadoff hitter up. You also have a guy at the plate who's 0 for his last 12, and he's been struggling. He's a young kid still at the major league level. Well, Manny Acta not only has to process that quickly, he has to be thinking about that 2 hitters in front of when it happens.
Well, and looking down to the bullpen to see if the Rockies have somebody warming up.
This ball is a soft fly to right. It's going to drop. And stopping at third base is Stewart. He had to see the ball down. It's first and third. And now Jason Hamill will come up. And in a strange way, George, you have virtually the same scenario.
Well, you do. I think the one thing that's probably going through Acta's mind is the kid has the opportunity to strike people out. He's done that. 75 innings, 75 strikeouts at the start of this game. Now, he didn't have a ton of them against the Rockies. Just a couple of strikeouts in the game so far.
There's the bunt. Stewart holds. Zimmerman throws to the moving target, the second baseman, Willie Harris. And that's why I said, you know what, that hit, because it floated in the air and Stewart couldn't just take off and had to see it down. It ended up the exact same situation. If you had walked Carlos Gonzalez, it's first and second. You get the bunt now at second and third. Well, guess what? Base hit first and third. You bunt and it's still second and third, 2 outs. Still comes down to Fowler coming through against the young pitcher, Jordan Zimmerman.
Well, McCaddy's going to go out and talk to him a little bit how they want to try to attack Dexter Fowler. Right before that, Josh Bard was alerting Nick Johnson and Willie Harris about the ability to pull the ball up the first base line. Interesting note here, folks. Just before the ball game, it was about 2 o'clock this afternoon. All the pitchers were out on the field. Hamill was not, but all the other pitchers were out with bunting practice on a machine at about 90 miles an hour. Because if you think back yesterday into Jason Marquis' ball game, a couple of times they did not get it down. They were having a meeting with their manager, Jim Tracy, going over the defensive side of things, plus doing the bunt drills. There's the daylight play they work on an awful lot. You see it in the games that they were working on here. Quintanilla out at shortstop for this play. Each pitcher had to go through it 3 times, but they were also out for bunting practice right before that.
Well, you got a real good athlete on the mound in Zimmerman if you're thinking bunt. Ryan Zimmerman at third is a very good defender, and it's fouled off.
See, I think McCaddy went out. Now let's think back with Dexter at the plate. All the times that he's had difficult with the pitch, it's been a hard slider, back foot, or curveball, right? So he said, let's bust hard heat in first pitch, and then let's see if it works to the breaking ball. And let's see if they follow that pattern, if they take the ball down and away.
Hit should tie it up. This ball's fouled off and out of play again, and now it's 0-2.
Pretty good fastball, inner half, 93 miles an hour. See, as a young hitter, you start to think along that lines with the pitcher. Boy, is this the one he's going to give it to me? Is it the next pitch he's going to give it to me? When am I going to get this hard breaking ball and then just react enough to fight off the other?
And Dexter hitting just .222 with runners in scoring position. And now he's behind 0-2. Fastball up and away. Fowler stayed off it. Ground ball to second. Bobbled, and that's going to cost the Nationals a run. Willie Harris booted a routine ground ball, and he got hurt.
Did the little man in the dirt get him?
That was as routine a ground ball as you will see, and Willie is hurt. 4-3 ball game. Barman's coming up first and third. Look again.
I mean, this is a routine ground ball right to him. All he has to do is pick it. Ball came right up and got him. And then he has to take the ball and throw it to first base. Just can't get a hold of the baseball.
You know, Harris, George, everybody saw what we saw, and you're sitting there and you're saying, well, how can that happen? Because we all wear cups, right? It's Major League Baseball. You at every level, you're going to wear a cup in the infield.
You know, you say that, but I mean, I played with a guy, Gary Templeton, that didn't play shortstop for 12 years in the big leagues. I used to tell you, your hands ain't that good. But I sat here and I'm thinking, you know, I mean, it's not fun, obviously.
I mean, how many guys, honestly, many guys, teammates of yours, you mentioned Temple, did you think anybody else in the infield that didn't wear a cup?
Well, the only reason I knew he didn't wear it was because he bragged about it. I mean, to be honest, I didn't count how many guys.
I know you're not going around checking, right, but still.
But it's very unusual, to say the least.
Wow. You know, the Rockies are now within a run, and Clint Barmas, who's 1 for 1 in a walk, is at the plate. Gonzalez at third. Dexter Fowler in a great running situation. You got a lot of speed on. Rockies could not have two faster guys on. Gonzalez at third. And you get the fake to third, look to first move. Fowler scurries back. Dexter got picked off once already in this game. I couldn't imagine that Bard would throw through here, George. There's a strike. And the reason is Josh has struggled throwing the baseball with consistency. Even though this guy's quick to the plate, Fowler's got a ton of speed, and maybe more importantly, Gonzalez at third, a ton of speed.
This may be a fake down and a snap throw to third. Remember the other day in a ball game, their defense is not moving. The only time it moves is Willie Harris is coming in behind the mound in case the throw was to get away from the pitcher on a throw back from Bard. Now he got a whole different job here now, what he's going to do on throwing through or eating it, or what he's going to do with it. As he came out and gave a whole different set of signs. Jim Riggleman, who's managing the big leagues a lot, is the bench coach for the Washington Nationals.
One and two on Barmas. See if Dexter takes off here. Getting the old rundown, George.
Well,
not going. 2 and 2.
But I think the reason more than anything else, Barmas has hit the ball hard. The last couple of days, line drive, base hit in the first inning, walked the next time, then Helton's right behind him, line drive. Let's set everything down, just shut it where it is, and let's let the bats try to tie this thing up.
This is fought up to right field, a base hit. Gonzalez comes home. Fowler to third base. We're all even at 4. And nobody hurting more than Willie Harris in more ways than one.
41st RBI for Clint Barmas on a 1-2 count. His fastball. Now here's that boring action. See it start to come in on Barmas, and it just, he pulls his hands really tight to the inside part of the body, and by doing that he gets a little bit different plane to the bat, so it's going to shoot the ball to the right side. Pretty nice serve by Clint Barmas. 41st RBI, and you got a 4-4 ball game.
And you've elevated the pitch count considerably on Zimmerman. 86 pitches now. He's not out of the 4th inning.
Man, their bullpen's starting to go too. This is where you've got to be extremely careful with young pitchers like this.
I almost thought Bard got crossed up there for a second, George.
Here's the big right-hander. Bergman warming up down in the bullpen for the Nationals.
Todd fouls it back. Todd hit a laser. It was headed up the middle his last time up, and Jordan Zimmerman reached down, caught it, and doubled off Clint Barmas at first. First and third for the Rockies, tied at 4. Rockies with 7 hits, the Nationals with 6. 2 balls and a strike. Firestone leaderboard. The Rockies traditionally have a very high average at Coors Field. The Pirates, though, leading the National League. Then the Giants, that's shocking, because that's a pitcher's park. The Rockies are 3rd, Dodgers 4th.
Well, I tell you the one thing I've kind of followed a little bit. Center fielder for San Francisco Giants.
Aaron Rowan.
Aaron Rowan has just drew a blank there. He's raised his average to 295. When we were there early in the year, he's about 230.
Runner going, ball 4. Now they're loaded up for Brad Hop. Jordan Zimmerman was really pitching well. And I think the error and then losing Clint Barnes, who was way ahead, the base hit to right, and he's a little rattled. He's 22.
Yeah, he's 22 years old, and the caddy's already been out once. So now it's up to Barnes to try to calm him down and get him refocused, try to get this last out. And you're right. Nobody feels worse than the guy out at second, Willie Harris. Hey, the first 5,000 fans to the gates on Friday, July the 10th. The Atlanta Braves will be in town. Get a Brad Hop T-shirt, courtesy of FSN Rocky Mountain. So make sure you get the Hop T-shirt. All of it a giveaway to the first 5,000 fans, courtesy of FSN Rocky Mountain.
So Brad Hop with the bases jammed. That's a strike. Brad with a base hit in 2 trips, an RBI single in the first. I was talking to Clint Barnes about situations where you come up with runners on base. It's fouled off. And even though, you go back to Little League on up through high school baseball, college for many of these guys, pro ball, the big leagues, as many times as you come up with runners on base, said the adrenaline's still raising, and it's hard to stay patient because you see guys out there and you want to drive them in.
Yeah, absolutely you do. Hops hit 286, 2 for 7. With the bases loaded, he's going to punch out on a fastball at 93.
In the inning, the Rockies get 3 runs to tie up the ball game. They take advantage of a miscue by Willie Harris. Dealers, finance or lease any new Hyundai, and if in the next year you lose your income, we'll make your payments for 3 months. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service, warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. Niger Morgan at the plate, leading things off. And the first pitch misses, ball 1. Morgan 0 for 2 against Jason Hamill. Whole new ball game for the Rockies. They fell behind 4-1, and they've rallied for 3 to tie things at 4. If you're looking in and you're wondering why the Nationals are 24 and 56, look no further than the last inning. They had a chance to get out of it, up a couple of runs, and instead they give up 2 because of the error. Center field, and it's a base hit for Morgan. bring up Nick Johnson. It'll take us to our Geico quote of the day. Satchel Paige, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you are? I had to think about that one for a second.
Is that kind of along the lines of my high school coach said, if I knowed you'd go, I'd come and get you?
You know, I think, George, the older I get, I'm going to employ that philosophy of Satchel's. That went right along with the one that Mark Stat used earlier. Don't look back. You don't know who's gaining on you, right?
Absolutely.
Was that you, Sat?
Yeah. One of Satchel's favorites.
There's some great lines that came out of the old Negro leagues. Cool Papa Bell was so fast he could turn out the lights and get in bed before it got dark. Yeah. So that was a great line.
Well, great line. And I think, too, the way they had to really bond as a team as they traveled in all these different cities. The treatment they received in certain cities. The right-hander Josh Fogg's back throwing again for the Rockies in the bullpen. And you figure a short leash here just because it's you work to tie the ball game back up again. You don't want to let this thing get carried away.
Yeah. Johnson's 1 for 1 in a walk. And then you have Ryan Zimmerman behind him. You're getting into the thick part of the Washington lineup. And pitch out, nothing doing. Morgan's been perfect, 4 for 4, stealing bags in a Washington uniform. And overall this year, he's 21 of 31. '28-year-old at first base. And a base hit. Good job by Brad to get to that baseball, and great respect for Hop's arm. I was talking to Rob Dibble, who's an analyst on the television side with our old friend Bob Carpenter, and Dibble said, man, that's the best outfield arm I've seen this year.
It is one of the better ones. Let's check another email real quick while we have a visit. Here's Mr. Dibble right here. Never mind. Mr. Carpenter. That's not Bob. That's Mr. Hammond. Said, how do you know what pitches are thrown, and what are some of the tips for the TV viewers at home to determine the type of pitch when it's thrown? Well, a curveball, just think about a clock. And when you see a ball come in and drop straight down, think about a clock 12 to 6 at the break of the clock. And then again on a curve, on a slider, is going to break down and away from a right-hander. And the sinking fastball will come in, and you'll see it move to the right with a right-hander, move to the left with a left-hander. And a lot of times it's the grip of the baseball. And for the viewers at home, if we happen to give you a shot, and we can't do it right now with a runner on second, but a lot of times you'll see us give you a shot of signs behind home plate. 1 is a fastball, 2 is a curve, 3 is a slider. The wiggle of a hand of the 4 fingers is going to be a changeup. And the 5 sometimes, with Ubaldo, is the split finger. So when you look in, and we can't do it right now because the runner out at second, they use a series of signs to disguise the pitch. When we get an opportunity here in a little bit, Russ will show you those signs and give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Fifth inning, 4-4, 2 on, nobody out. Ryan Zimmerman, a 3-run home run to center field his last time up. Also a 5-4-3 double play back in the first. And that's a slider for a strike. Here's the home run in the 3rd inning. Kind of inside out at that ball, George. I really didn't think he hit it as well as he evidently did.
Well, I said earlier, I thought Bard's ball was hit harder than that particular ball. But yet I watched in batting practice. That's where most of his home runs went, early batting practice today. Of course, it was hotter. It was about 1:30 in the afternoon. He was hitting everything out in right center field into both of those bullpens.
You know, Zimmerman, the last day of his hit streak, his 30-game hit streak, May the 12th, he was hitting .364 at the time, 8 home runs, 26 RBIs. Since then, a .242 average, 6 home runs, and 22 RBIs. That includes the home run tonight. Hamill trying to induce a ground ball here, and this is popped up and out of play. 1-2. You know what he hasn't had here, George, and I don't know if he's You know, guys don't get the same grip and sometimes don't get the same movement with the hook. He hasn't had that swing and miss curveball.
A lot of times with the breaking ball, what you do is you work around it. And so what I mean by that is the arm comes forward into it. They work around the curveball, which causes it to spin in this fashion and stays up in the strike zone. You know, when I teach a curveball, it's all about angles more than it is anything else. And it's a fact of staying up on top of the baseball. So in other words, you have right angles with your arm. So when you do throw the baseball, you have 90s, 90s, and 90s. So when you pull, see how the fingers stay behind the baseball. So you're pulling it all the way down. So you get a nice downward rotation on the ball. You're not working around to the side of the baseball. When you work to the side, it's flat, not a big move, and it gets pretty it's pretty hittable pitch.
Went to the hard sliders last time. Zimmerman just got a piece. 1 and 2. And that ball roped to third. Stewart had a notion to go to the bag. He's still able to turn it because it was hit so hard. 5-4-3. Second time Zimmerman has grounded into one of those. He hit it on the butt. Good pick by Stewart. 2 outs, runner at third.
Well, no question either. Looking at Richie Dyer down into the dugout when he did this. Right choice made. Anytime you can get 2 outs, get the 2 outs on a double play, particularly the Rockies defense and ability to turn 2 with Varmus, Stewart. This defense has been outstanding. Let the guy get to third base. Go ahead and make your move and get 2 outs.
George, that was hit so hard. Zimmerman's not the fleetest guy. He actually could have turned 2 probably both ways. He still probably could have gone to the bag and thrown to
well,
first.
The only danger you have there with Morgan's speed is if he takes you out at third base.
Yep. Now
you're not going to have that chance to throw to first.
Adam Dunn, a strikeout and a broken bat fly ball to right. This guy scares him. He's one of those guys, when he punch out 6 times out of 8 at bats and then hit 2 balls off the top deck.
Oh, yes. He's got tremendous power. That big old open stance, a wide stance at the plate, which allows him to keep his upper half pretty quiet. See, that's a dangerous move there. And Stewart obviously turned to call timeout. Hopefully he did with Angel Hernandez at third base before he jogged in. Because a lot of times if you don't step off with the right foot, so if let's say he stepped back with the left foot, it's a ball. So I'm sure Stewart called time when he came jogging in.
Tell you what, because of where Stewart is, you got to worry about stealing home.
Yeah, sure did. He's down the line quite a ways.
And if you're Iannetta, you can't lollipop it back to the pitcher. Morgan is literally, folks, going to get halfway down on his lead because the third baseman's playing shortstop. Well, Stewart's 45 feet away.
You take your lead as the distance your third baseman is from the back because you feel like you can win it. Now, the other thing that Jason Hamill just changed, wind up back to the stretch. That tightens some things up.
Swung on and missed again. He's going after him with heat.
Well, that's what he struck him out with earlier. He went soft and then heat up into the strike zone and got it by him. See, this ball's gotten by Dunn right here. Just swung under the pitch. A lot of lift in that swing. Drew talked about the home runs. Stay away from it. That pitch above the really above the hitting area.
Go up there again. That's what Iannetta wants.
A little bit too high. Even though this guy strikes out a lot, and his average is at 264, he knows his strike zone. I mean, he went after a pitch up in his zone a little bit, got under it, but he's not going to swing at something head high.
Well, he strikes out a lot. He hits a lot of home runs. He also walks a lot. To your point, he understands his zone. It's a big zone. I mean, he's 6'7". And it is pulled foul. Pulled the string on him. Unfortunately, Dunn was out front.
Now, Fogg's ready to go. So, I mean, that's kind of up to Jim Tracy after this. He has 85 pitches right now through 4 innings, and he's not out of the, into the 5th inning right now.
2-2. Goes up there again and strikes him out. Hamill saves his best work for here in the 5th. He strikes out Adam Dunn with the go-ahead run on third base. Tied at 4. Middle of 5.
Hi, I'm Jeff Francis from your Colorado Rockies. It's Green Week, and here's a tip on how you can help keep the environment green. Use reusable shopping bags. For more information on the 20 Games of Green, visit coloradorockies.com/green.
All right, Jeff, thank you. The Rockies and FSN have teamed up for the 20 Games of Green. We want to hear from you. Share your tip for helping the environment for a chance to have it read by Jeff Francis during the Rockies pregame report Friday night at 6:30. Email your green tips to RockyMountain@FSNinsider.net today. New pitcher for the Washington Nationals, Jason Bergman, has come into the ball game as the Rockies hit around in the fourth inning. This call to the pen brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Call 1-800-COMCAST. Tulowitzki hits it in the air to left center field. And Big Adam Dunn makes the catch.
Well, Bergman's another one of those guys coming out of the bullpen and has a little bit of velocity. He can get it up to 94 comfortably at 86 to 89 with some movement. A changeup he'll throw in the low 80s. 4-pitch mix, slider. He can get up to 88, which turns into the cutter. And a curveball to go with it.
Stewart, a double his last time up. He scored a run.
Well, let's take a peek right now. Remember, we've got a great email from Russ a minute ago talking about signs. Remember the 1, 2, 3, 4. The wiggle being with a 4 is going to be it. See the one finger drop, fastball. But anytime you see it circle, that's the sinker. So you're going to get a ball that moves down and in, or down and away from the left-hander. Got a ground ball over to first base. He retires Stewart.
The book on Jordan Zimmerman, 4 innings. He gave up 4 runs, only 2 of which were earned. On 7 hits, he did walk 4, struck out 3, and he threw 94 pitches. But, you know, if you put your scout hat on, George, you got to like what you've seen.
Oh, absolutely you did.
Chris Ionette at the plate, and he was on that fastball from Jason Bergman.
We'll go back to the signs one more time. After a first pitch fastball, it was a single finger down. See the 3 drop, asking for the slider. That ball just stayed up in the strike zone at 88 miles an hour. Acted more of a cutter than anything. One more look at the signs. Well, they're too quick on us tonight.
0-2. And
there's
a
the
good
hook.
pitch. Good inning for Bergman. 1, 2, 3 in the 5th. 4-4 affair. Josh Willingham will lead things off in the 6th.
Texas. Last game of the year, up 7-5, 2 outs in the ninth, and the 15,000 that were there, we're averaging that off. This is less than 15,000. Go onto the field, steal first base, ransack the field, take some turf up, and according to Rule 3.11, the crew chief and the home plate umpire can call the game. They did. It's a 9-0 win for the Yankees. That's one of 5 games forfeited in the last 50 years. I'm not going to tell you the last one because we'll do that as a fun fact coming up, guys. And Drew or George, you know, if it's forfeited, if you're losing, you lose by that score. But if you're winning like the Senators were, you lose 9-0. What about the stats in the box score? Do you know if they stay the same?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you forfeit a ball game, yeah, everything. If it becomes a game, it's a game, and everything stays.
Because Frank Howard hit his 360th home run in that game, the last game that he played as a Senator.
All right, Mark, thank you. That ball's fouled back. It's 2-2 on Willingham with a solo home run in the second, and then had a base hit in the third. Stayed off that pitch. Willingham came up in the Florida organization. 26 home runs one year with Florida, 21 another year. This ball a broken bat, and the ball went foul. The bat ends up past third base, where it'll be cleaned up by Pat Listash. Cody writes in, with baseball being a huge numbers game, what do you see as the most important numbers in baseball?
W's, wins, and more wins. I mean, at the end of the day, you can write up all you want to about, well, if they'd have caught the ball here, or if they had, you know, they pitched great through 5 and all those numbers. But to be honest, Cody, it's a win-loss game. What the team with the most wins at the end of the year is a world champion, and that's what we all play. That's what they all play for.
3-2 again, and again it's fisted, this time to third. Stewart's got a long throw. He's got Tom Helton at first, no problem. Helton digs it out of the dirt. Is that the first time he's done that, George?
Since this morning. He hadn't had any others so far today. Well, the ball, tough hop for Stewart. He has to back up, catch his baseball, plant the back foot, and then a snap throw all the way over to first base. Helton with the pick and the leadoff out. Franklin Morales warming up down the bullpen for the Rockies. He probably would have been here sooner than today, but he pitched 5 days ago as a starter, and he went 6 innings. As a result of that, you take the next day off, and then you throw your bullpen, which was Saturday. So now you got Sunday off and Monday. Today would have been his normal time to start. In other words, he's fresh. It should be where he is to pitch here in this ball game.
1-0 on Guzman. That's in there 1-1.
All fans that come through the gate on July 9th, all right, that's Thursday, you get a team poster. Every single fan that comes to the ball game on July 9th, the Braves are in town, you'll get a team poster. So make sure you go out to one of the ticket outlets or just jump online, ColoradoRockies.com, and get your tickets for that ball game.
2 balls and a strike. Next pitch for Hamill will be his 97th. This is almost certainly it for Hamill.
Catch it. 9 ground ball outs, 4 fly ball outs, 3 strikeouts in the game for Mr. Hamill.
He's due up second next inning. In a 4-4 game. Burnett, the lefty, who they picked up from the Pirates, is getting loose. And it's a pop fly to left field. Carlos Gonzalez. And that is out number 2. Windshield chipped or cracked, please call Colorado's #1 team, Elite Safelite Auto Glass. 303-287-5000 is the phone number online at safelite.com. A lot of glass there. Kind of like a windshield, big windshield. Josh Bard 1 for 2. Single off the wall and right, and then a ground ball to second. That fastball missed. Rockies were up 1-0, then found themselves down 4-1 after a Ryan Zimmerman 3-run home run. Rockies rallied to tie it. A little help from a defensive miscue by Willie Harris. There's another hit for Josh Bard. He's got 4 hits in this series. Always fun for Josh to come back to Denver, his hometown. He and his family continue to live in the Denver metropolitan area in the offseason. And because he's done a lot of working out, he used to be in this organization, but he's done a lot of working out in the offseason with a lot of the current Rockies. He knows virtually everybody on the roster very well. 2 outs, runner at first, Willie Harris at the plate. That's a strike on pitch number 101. Harris never been known as a guy that hits the ball over the wall, but last year, George, he had 14 home runs in less than 400 at bats.
Dark Cox was the scout that drafted Bard out of college. Yeah, talking about, I know the home runs you're talking about here. I just looking at Bard, I want to see how many, what year that the Rockies took him, to see how many of the current Rockies were his teammates in the minor leagues as they came up.
Yeah, Josh went to Texas Tech after graduating from Cherry Creek High School in Mark Johnson's program. Second round pick out of Tech.
1999. That's around the time Jason Jennings came to the big leagues, right?
Not quite to the big leagues yet, but he wasn't far away. That ball's
see, the reason I think Harris hit so many home runs, look how quick he is. He had a little bit of lift. I watched him in batting practice early BP today. He lifted some balls pretty good in right field and right center, getting them not just to the first area of seats, but up into that second area, the second deck of baseball.
2-2 with 2 outs on Willie Harris.
And Belliard stepped out in the on-deck circle to pinch hit.
3-2. And the 3-2 is hit to right center field. Bard's going to go first to third. He was moving on the pitch. And good job backing up by Stewart. Throws to Helton. Willie Harris dives back in. So it's first and third. You're going to get a pinch hitter. It's going to be Ronnie Belliard in the 9-hole. And Bob Apodaca coming out. Belliard started last night. He's hitting under 200. But in his career, he's been a very good offensive player. Tonight's high-speed pitch is brought to you by Quest High-Speed Internet. Jordan Zimmerman hit 96, Jason Hamill 95.
By the way, that Belliard is a pinch hitter. He's been used more than anybody else in the ball club. 21 pinch hits. Or pinch hit at bats this year, 4 base hits, a home run, and 4 RBIs. The other guy that's been very successful, Flores on the DL. Harris, 9 stolen bases. He's at first base. Don't be surprised if he doesn't try to go somewhere here. The running sign's given by Tommy Reynolds. Out of the dugout to Iannetta, passed on to the corner infielders, in the middle infielders. If he's going to throw through. 2 outs typically in a game like this, they'll hold the defense.
That pitch misses.
Meaning the guys aren't going to move out of their position. It happened the other day with Arizona late in the game. If you'll remember, Carlin threw the ball through the middle of the infield with nobody covered.
It was tough deals managerially on the Rockies side. That's 2-0, George, because you want Morales to come in with a clean slate. Plus, you don't want to burn 2 pitchers because your pitchers due up second. Then maybe you have to double switch a little early for that.
Not going to double switch this early, I wouldn't think. I think you would bring him in just to get out of the situation if you're trying to win the game right now.
But again, Morales is a guy's a starter.
Well,
you don't want to bring him in.
It's the 5th inning. It's the big leagues who brought you up here to do it. I mean, I understand. I mean, I know where you're going. The trouble Morales has had with guys on the bases, but obviously Dan O'Dowd has the belief, along with Bob Apodaca. Jim Tracy, this guy can handle the pressure situation.
2-1 on Belliard in a 4-4 game. That just missed 3-1. You have Morgan on deck, who's a left-handed hitter. He's hitting a $145 left on left. You're at 110 pitches for Hamill. So your hand will be forced, you would assume, if you're Jim Tracy, and Hamill does not get Belliard. Harris not going, and that's ball 4. So Belliard draws a walk, and that's all for Hamill. Bases loaded, and welcome back to the big leagues, Franklin Morales. He's going to come in with the bases full.
Well, this is why you're here. This is to come out and get that tough left-hander and be able to handle it. And, you know, the only guy Jason Hamill can be upset with is himself right now.
4-4 game. Hamill got the first 2 outs, then a couple of hits and a walk. Tonight's E470 Road Ahead brought to you by E470 and Express Toll, the best way to save time and money. Washington tomorrow afternoon, no television. Then the Braves come to town, and we'll have all 4 right here on FSN Rocky Mountain before the All-Star break. You know, Jason Hamill goes 5 2/3 in a 4-4 ball game. He departs. The bases are loaded. Nyjer Morgan, the leadoff man, who hits from the left side, coming up. And Franklin Morales coming back to the big leagues. His first appearance since April 21st. And this call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST.
Well, different attitude when you come in now out of the bullpen. You don't have that cruise control time where you can work through some innings, find the groove. You got to have it when you get here. And he was brought up here for this very reason, to come up out of the bullpen because of his ability with that hard curveball, slider, and fastball to get the punch out on the tough lefties. And over at third base, you have Bard. Out at second, Willie Harris, and Belliard at first.
And again, the man at the plate, Nyjer Morgan, hitting over 300 right on left, I should say. But against lefties, he struggled in the first pitch in there at 92 for a strike.
Well, one thing about Franklin Morales, he can strike out the right-hander just as well as he can the left-hander.
Curveball and a good one. 0-2. And that locked me up, George, and I'm up here.
Yeah, I saw you flinching. You bet. What a great pitch. I mean, again, 0-2 now. And again, Morgan has not seen Franklin Morales. See what left-handers have done against Morales. Go ahead and do it right here.
Curveball, and that was probably a little bit too good. Got too much of the plate.
Yep. It did get too much of the plate. 74 miles an hour. This kid, the left-hander, has gone at it against left-handers throughout his career. Single back in the 5th inning. 28 RBIs for the young left-handed hitter.
up high at 94.
Man, that's some of the hardest velocity we've seen out of Franklin Morales for a couple of years. It's been 89, 92 at the start of the year.
A little different scenario, though, George. Coming out of the pen,
well,
you don't have to save yourself,
saying.
right?
That's what I'm just saying. Yeah. I mean, you come out and let it all hang out.
That missed 2-2.
And when it's that nasty, sometimes hitters back away from it, thinking I can't hit it anyway. I hope he calls it a ball.
That had a little cut to it, didn't it?
Sure did.
This is the pitch, though. You do not want to go full.
Well, you go to the full count, you almost tell a hitter you're coming with the fastball. Until you prove you can throw the hook for a strike.
He's got it on the inside corner at 93. Welcome back, Franklin Morales, and well done in the same breath. Still tied up at 4 as Morales strikes out Morgan, and the Nationals leave the base. Cam. Yeah, Josh Willingham hit a solo home run earlier in the ballgame. And then Ryan Zimmerman a 3-run home run to make it 4-1 Washington against Jason Howell. But the Rockies came back, tied up, and we're at 4-4 right now. That was the Frost Brewed Coors Light Freeze Cam. Carlos Gonzalez is going to lead it off. There are 3 lefties down in the Washington bullpen, and they call on the newest National, Sean Burnett, who was doing a very good job in a Pirate uniform. He came with Niger Morgan last week in that deal that sent Lastings, Millage, and Joel Hanrahan, the hard-throwing former starting pitcher and turned reliever from Washington, to Pittsburgh. And the breaking pitch misses to Gonzalez. Carlos a walk and a base hit. He has scored a run. Snapped an 0 for 12 slide with that base hit in his last AB. And it's fouled off. I have an email from Jennifer concerning Carlos Gonzalez. Why is Carlos Gonzalez getting more playing time than Ryan Spilborghs? Well, Carlos Gonzalez, you know, kind of like Franklin Morales, George made a very good point about Morales. He's brought up to get lefties out. He's going to work out of the pen. This kid, they believe, I mean, he's got star written all over him. He wasn't brought up to get 5 at-bats a week. He was brought up to get 20-plus at-bats a week.
If you're going to bring him up here, you got to play him. You don't want it sitting up here rotting out and not doing anything for him. He's not going to get better watching in the middle of the season in the big leagues. He's only going to get better by playing. Now, if it's determined after 125, 130 at-bats that he's not good enough to handle it, then you can make your decisions and make your moves.
You know, he hasn't hit like he can yet. However, his defense has been tremendous, and the club is 16-3 when he starts. And he gets underneath this one, popped to shallow center field. Morgan, he couldn't find it. You know what? Morgan was throwing his hands up in the air. He wasn't sure it was hit to him. It wasn't really anywhere near him. It was more toward right field. It was handled by Willie Harris, but that got way up in the sky. could have been a problem.
And because 2 of the next 3 batters are left-handed, Nick Johnson, Zimmerman, and then Dunn, they're going to go ahead and let Morales swing the bat. Plus, he's a pretty good athlete. The guy that's signed as an outfielder originally. So you can work a few more innings into the ball game. A lot of times you'll see Jim Tracy let a guy work out of an inning, then come up and they take him out of the ball game for a pinch hitter.
This is chopped to first, and Morales can run. And it's a close play at first. Burnett just did get there. Remember, Franklin Morales had the option when he was signed by Rolando Fernandez, whether he wanted to be an outfielder, as you said, George, or he wanted to pitch. He's that gifted.
Well, that's why the Rockies right now have a lot of guys that are out of Latin America. Ismael Rogers, good example. Signed as a shortstop, couldn't hit the slider, put you on a mound, and he's 96.
Dexter Fowler flips around to the right side. Dex is 0 for 2 and a walk tonight, though he reached on an error in the 4th inning. And that right now, George, is the biggest play in the ball game when Willie Harris didn't field that routine ground ball.
No question. And it was routine, too. Hey, all the kids to the gates on July 11th. That's July 11th, Saturday, 2 days before the break starts. They're going to get a Disney G-Force trading cards, courtesy of Disney. So purchase your tickets for that Braves game on Saturday night. Bring your child and let him get a G-Force trading cards, courtesy of Disney. It's July 11th.
One and 2 on Dexter. Burnett was a #1 pick back in 2000. The Pirates, 19th overall. Twice he was the Pirates minor league pitcher of the year. He was doing a good job in Pittsburgh. He had 1 save, 6 holds. Lefties hitting in the 170s against him. Here's the 1-2. 2 and 2. And Barmes will be next if Dexter can reach. And Fowler, a foul tip, held by Josh Bard, a 1-2-3 inning. That is 7 in a row set down by the Nationals. We're tied at 4. Bullpens, and hopefully that will be advantage Colorado, since the bullpen ERA for the Nationals is 5.67, one of the poorest bullpen ERAs in the game. Sarah wants to know, are there any surprises or upsets about Rockies not going to the All-Star game? Well, the one guy that is clearly deserving is Houston Street, but you go through baseball and there's a number of teams, I'm sure, that can make a case for a deserving guy that is going to get vacation time instead of time at the Midsummer Classic. Houston Street, George, with only one blown save for me, would be the next Rocky.
Well, Clint Barnes played pretty well. I mean, the other guy for me would be Aaron Cook, who was 8-3 at the time. If he wins again, now all of a sudden he's 9 wins. He could have been into that mix a little bit, but Street's the guy. I mean, you can't argue the points of what he's thrown up since the start of the season. They've been pretty special.
Yeah, Todd's had a great first half. The problem now for Todd is there are so many tremendous first basemen, led, of course, by Albert Pujols in the National League.
Well, they took 4 first basemen for the All-Star game. And all 4 of those guys are in the home run derby for the National League.
Yeah, Adrian Gonzalez.
Pujols. Fielder.
Prince Fielder, Milwaukee.
And Ryan Howard of Philadelphia. Those are 4 very good choices, obviously.
Morales falls behind Nick Johnson, 2-0. And he swung 2-1. Johnson 2 for 2 and a walk.
Well, one other interesting thing about Morales, a starter down in AAA, yet when he started this inning back, I mean, bases loaded, he was in the stretch. But he had started this inning out of the stretch. Minimize a lot of body movement. That was one of the things he dealt with for a while, was when he stepped back, there was too much going to the third base side and then rotating forward, a number of different issues he went through. And it's calmed a lot of things down.
Slow hook.
Fooled everybody, including Randy Marsh.
Yeah. I had to try to pull it back down. It was a very close pitch.
So you got to wait till this thing comes down into the break area. Yeah, it's high. Sorry, Randy.
And that's nowhere close. Surprised at that decision, 3-2?
Yes, I was. Much like it was the other day with Ubaldo Jimenez on a 2-1 count, back-to-back changeups, and 2 curveballs to Tony Clark when you have a 3-run lead. But anyway, yeah, I'm a little disappointed. 73-mile-an-hour curveball to walk. Froze guys on that fastball they had earlier at 92.
So leadoff walk to Johnson. Zimmerman up. Adam Dunn on deck. Rick Cohen throwing in the Rockies' pen. Top of 7. 10 hits for the Nationals, 7 for the Rockies. That's a strike.
Let's take a look at this email that just came in from Jim. So what's the difference between AAA pitching and Major League pitching? Quite honestly, Jim, it's the command of the pitches. There's a reason those guys are down in AAA, and a lot of times it's they can't throw strikes with the fastball consistency. They don't have secondary stuff. I mean, that's one reason you have the minor leagues. And in comparison, it's like the NBA. That's why they have the CBA and the other developmental league, because they're just not quite ready to play at this big league level. And then sometimes guys that get older, they get to that 30, 31-year-old range, they become 4A guys, non-prospect, fill-in guys, insurance guys.
1 and 2. It should be pointed out that if you're ever down in spring training and you go on one of the backfields and you watch some of the A-ball guys, the AA guys, you're going to see guys that throw very, very hard. I mean, just as hard as guys throw out here in the big leagues, but it comes back to George, and harder. It just comes back to, do they know where it's going consistently?
Throwing strikes, absolutely. Throwing strikes consistently with it. You know, they all get enamored with the radar gun. And how hard? Oh boy, that's way out of line, and it's going to allow Nick Johnson to move up a base.
That takes a double play out of order. And
what ends up happening is guys don't throw strikes, and they walk a high number of people. And when you walk a lot of people, obviously you're not prepared to come up. And I call it the double deck syndrome. 4 umpires, there's a second deck, a whole bunch of light and fans, and guys can't handle that sometimes. I watched this afternoon Jason Hurst pitch for the AAA ball club against Portland, was being broadcast on FSN. Took the loss 7-2. That club 4.5 games out, or 4.5 game lead in the Pacific Coast League in their division. They have played well.
Two on the ground is short. Instead of a double play, you get nobody.
Double clutch.
Double clutch. That'll be an error on Tulowitzki.
Well, he had to circle around on it. You think so? Probably.
That's an error. That's a play he makes 98 times out of 100.
Let's take another look at it again. He kind of jumped there a little bit, circled around on it. Yep, it's an error on Tulowitzki. Just the 6th error of the season on this young shortstop. And only because of the double clutch, couldn't get a grip on the baseball.
That'll bring up Adam Dunn. Nobody out.
The right-hander, Rincon, we showed him earlier. He's loose. He's ready. He's tipped the cap already.
18 pitches delivered by Morales. 50-50 split, balls and strikes. And now 10 balls and 9 strikes. Not the kind of ratio you're looking for.
A mixed review. I mean, he came in and he locks up Morgan on a 3-2 fastball right down the middle of the plate. See you later. And then start off the next inning against the left-hander. He walks. And then this error by Tulowitzki. Now falling behind 2-0 on the next left-hander.
Good fastball, 2-1. Check another email. This from Emily. Why hasn't Josh Fogg been playing, especially in situations where the Rockies could have used a long reliever? Well, actually, Emily, with all due respect, the reason Josh Fogg has not been in games lately is they have not needed a long reliever. They've gotten such great length out of their starters.
Not since June 24th in Los Angeles when Anaheim, when Josh Fogg had a little hiccup as a starter, was the last time he pitched in a game.
Tonight he warmed up twice because it looked like they may need a long guy.
Yep, and again, when you're the long guy in a bullpen, and I've been that guy, you may go 7-10 days at a time without getting in a game. You might go 2 weeks. It's up to you to stay sharp in the bullpen and not expel too much out of those pitches.
Well, De La Rosa in that picture, he pitched 8 innings his last outing. Jimenez has continuously worked deep in ball games. Been a hard luck pitcher of late. Cook's worked deep. Marquis 17 scoreless.
Well, long guys typically disappear in the ball game once you get past the 4th. That's when they're not thought of anymore. That's when you're going to use them prior to the 4th inning. It's just unfortunate. Fogg's done a nice job working this roll out of the bullpen.
3-2. Big pitch here. And he got it. That was an enormous pitch, George. That's a swing pitch in an inning. He loses Dunn, who has a great eye. You got the bases loaded and nobody out.
Yeah, exactly.
And now with a couple of righties due, or at least Willingham due, and then Guzman who switch hits, Jim Tracy's going to go to his bullpen.
92-mile-an-hour fastball just blew it right by him. Franklin's first time out of here, bases loaded. They left them all standing there. Came in and created a little bit of a problem for himself at the walk, but hey, able to work 2/3 of an inning here. A couple of punch outs. It's 4-4, folks.
Top of the 7th inning. We're locked up in a 4-4 ball game. Rockies played a number of tight games lately. They won 1-0 yesterday. If your windshield's damaged in any way, call Colorado's #1 team, Elite Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000, online at safelight.com. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout from Coors Field. Juan Rincon replaces Mr. Morales. Franklin did a nice job. 2/3 of an inning, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and Ryan Zimmerman is on also because of an error by Troy Tulowitzki. So Rincon will look out, and you'll see Nick Johnson at second, Zimmerman at first, 1 out. He's got Josh Willingham, a DP candidate and also a long ball candidate, at the plate. Rincon, a guy that George, more than half the time throws his slider.
Yes, he does, and gets way up on top of it, and he can work ahead. That fastball is 93. He's shown 90, 92, 93 with the fastball. But if he's able to work that ahead, it gives him 4 shots with that slider.
Infield set for 2. Outfield straight up. Here's the 0-1. Slider on the ground, deep short. And a great play. Force at third. Out at third. What a play by Tulowitzki. Not only did he take a hit away, he was able to scramble and get the throw to Stewart, the only play he had, and he got the force on Nick Johnson, who doesn't run well.
Well, but watch the path Nick Johnson took, too. He went wide like he was going to make a turn. See how he's so far out wide, it didn't give him a chance to come straight to the bag. Watch right here, great angle, great shot. He's out here versus coming straight at the bag. That may have cost him, but it helped the Rockies to get the second out and prevent the winning run to get over to third base and leave it at second.
So Guzman steps up. Guzman's 0 for 3. And a ground ball to second. Barmes, quick hands, and Juan Rincon does his job. Stretch time at Coors Field. The Rockies 4, the Nationals 4. Barmes to lead it off. Four, bottom of the 7th. Time to get you up to speed with the AT Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Burnett remains in the ballgame with 2 of the next 3 hitters for the Rockies left-handed. Clint Barmes first and Helton and Hop. Barmes has had a nice night again. A couple of hits yesterday. Tonight 2 for 2 and a walk, an RBI, a run scored, and a stolen base. And this ball on the ground is short. Guzman on the move. 1 out.
Just something really small. And again, folks, I want to say something about this defensively. That you got to cover all your bases because the throw's going to be coming from a little bit of an angle, wide angle, and Willie Harris sprinted over behind Nick Johnson to have that angle if the ball got away. Bard's coming the other way, so I had to watch when this ball's hit. You look for Willie Harris. See, now if that ball gets away, here's Willie coming behind him. Bard's coming the other angle. So if it gets by at the left field line, Harris has it, gets off and comes over this way. Bard's got it.
There is always somewhere to go on the baseball field defensively. You don't watch. Here's the 1-0 to Todd, who is 1 for 2 in his career against Burnett.
One more look at what we're talking about right here. You can see here he comes. He's streaking. He's getting all the way around behind if the ball gets away. Bard was right down here.
2-0 on Help at the knees, 2-1. A little footnote on yesterday's 1-0 ball game at Coors Field. It's the 8th 1-0 game at Coors Field all time. And in the last 5 years, this ball a bouncer to second. There have been only 4 stadiums. Listen to this, folks. There's been only 4 stadiums in baseball that have had more 1-0 games than Coors Field. San Diego and Petco, that makes sense. Dodger Stadium, that makes sense. Cleveland and the Metrodome in Minnesota. That, to me, when I read that, was shocking. Because Coors Field, you know, everybody makes jokes. It's 10-9 every night, right? Well, no, there's more 1-0 games here than just about any place in baseball over the last 5 years.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was shocked. I really was.
The Rockies have to get their offense going. They've had 9 in a row set down by Washington. And most of this, the bullpen. Bergman had a 1-2-3 inning. Burnett is 5 for 5 in terms of the 5 hitters he has faced. 1-1 count on Hop. And you like the matchups of bullpens, and that the Rockies bullpen, for the most part, has done a very, very good job the last half a dozen weeks. And the Nationals bullpen, one of the reasons Manny Acta has not had a lot of sleep this season. Their ERA closer to 6 than 5. 5's not a real good number.
Well, let's check with this email with Jason. You want to know where I get all my scouting reports from. And Jason, to be quite honest with you, this is my 34th year in the game. And I have friends all over the National League and American League that are pro scouts that do this for a living. And I will make it a point to call and visit with guys as a series comes up, as it is here with the Nationals. I'll do it again when Atlanta's coming in. If it's somebody I don't know or somebody I have not seen, then I will make that phone call. And there's a lot of guys sitting right in behind home plate today doing their job, trying to work. Billy Shears here. There's former general manager Bob Gebhardt.
This ball line to right, a base hit. So the Rockies end that run of 9 straight set down with a hit by Hop here in the 7th. Tulowitzki coming up. Let's see if Manny Acta stays with the left-hander Burnett. He's got Stewart behind him, so you'd figure he probably would.
That's the fun part of the game. This is what Jim Tracy lives for every day, to get to this inning in a close game where you can still do all the things you need to do to try to win a ball game. Matching up your bullpens, getting your bench prepared to what it is. And I guarantee you right now, he's already told Smith and Atkins, go swing a bat, get ready. Along with Ryan Spielborgs, start to make those switches.
Tulowitzki, since getting a lot of time in the 5 hole, hitting .321 in that spot. Guzman pitches it. And Hop's going to be able to get to third base. That's a play he's got to make. I mean, that's, again, he backhand, but it's a routine backhand.
Yeah, it was a very routine, and it just appeared that when he raised his glove up a little bit, he's going to pick up his 12th error on this. Watch, the glove's going to get picked up. Nice bounce. He's going to backhand it. Missed the baseball. Stayed right there. Brad Hop looks up. Everything's right out in front of him. So easy decision for him to get to third base. First and third. Ian Stewart left on left.
They'll make it pay. Rockies made the Nationals pay for the Willie Harris error earlier. Otherwise, conceivably, it's still a 4-2 game favoring Washington. You take advantage of another team's miscues. That's what good clubs do.
It doesn't happen often. 34+ innings now, make it 35 with Burnett. Only 2 wild pitches that he has thrown.
Arizona and Washington have gone back and forth as the worst fielding team in the league. 1-1. Now Arizona had kind of moved ahead of, if you will, on a negative side last night in poorest fielding percentage in the league, but maybe Washington with the 2 errors tonight will retake, quote unquote, the lead in that department. Here's the 1-1. Inside 2-1. Stewart last year was tremendous left on left. Told the story many times. His father Steve left-handed, threw to him all the time. One of the reasons Ian thinks he's comfortable left on left. And he went through a period this year though where he struggled to get hits left on left, and he was a little tardy with that swing. It's 2-2.
But not a bail swing. I mean, Burnett steps towards the first base side. What I mean by a bail swing was where that front foot will step towards the first base side because of the positioning of a left-handed pitcher.
2 for his last 26 against lefties. Here's the 2-2. Down low, 3-2. Ionetta's on deck. Now on the 3-2 pitch, you'll have Tulowitzki moving at first. Tied at 4. In the bottom of the 7th. First and third and 2 outs. Time was called. Nick Johnson, he was getting loud. He was trying to let his pitcher know, Burnett, that he was moving behind the runner.
I don't agree with that. And the only reason I say that, you're going to give a running start to Tulowitzki, a ball into the gap, not going to matter, but a ball into the gap, he's going to score. If you're holding him, maybe you won't.
It is a moot point as Stewart strikes out. Good work in 2 innings for Burnett. We'll go to the 8th, tied at 4. We've been locked up at 4-all for quite a while. Top of the 8th inning. The Nationals have out-hit the Rockies 10-8. They have a couple of errors. The Rockies have 1. Josh Bard will lead it off against Joel Peralta. And let's check in with Mark Stout with tonight's Great Colorado Payback Sideline Report. Mark?
All right, thank you, Drew. Jim Riggleman is the bench coach for the Nationals. He and Jim Tracy go way back. This time last year, Jim Riggleman was the interim manager of the Seattle Mariners. While Jim Tracy wasn't working, he was collecting a paycheck from the Pittsburgh Pirates, but Riggleman was out of work briefly in this offseason. Thought about calling Jim Tracy because, you know what, he was Tracy's bench coach in L.A. with the Dodgers, and at that point he felt like he was getting stale. That's what he told me before the game. So he went and became a roving instructor for the Cardinals under Tony La Russa after that, and he said, you know what, I kind of regretted that decision. I felt like I wasn't making any decisions on the bench because Jim Tracy had everything laid out, but he really respects Jim Tracy. Said he thought about giving him a call, but Matty Acta had called him. He's from the Baltimore, D.C. area, went to Frostburg State, of which there's never been a big league player from Frostburg State because he only played in the minor leagues, but he had a lot of good things to say about Jim Tracy, his friend, guys.
Yeah, well, Jim Riggleman goes under the under that long book in Major League Baseball as a quote-unquote good baseball man.
Yeah, former teammate of mine in the Cardinal organization. He's given that Manny all the scenarios, but you get to choose.
It's on you.
So, yeah,
You'll
exactly.
answer everybody's question after the game. This ball pulled foul by Josh Bard.
You know, I've seen Bard play a lot in the big leagues. This is the best I've seen him swing the bat. Coming in here in the last 2 days, I mean, he's not missing by much. This is the best I have seen him.
He had a run in San Diego, George, where he swung it very, very well. He's always battled injuries, wrist injuries. That's hard on a hitter. I mean, it's hard to swing the bat when your wrists aren't 100%. Peralta ahead 1-2. And the changeup of the splitter is in there for a strike. So he strikes out Bard, who has 4 hits in 2 nights. That's a big first out.
Yeah, it's that split finger that he likes to throw, and it's because of the lack of velocity with the body language it sells the pitch to where hitters just take it thinking it's going to drive out of the strike zone.
Willie Harris steps up. He's 1 for 3. Joel's been very good for the Rockies, trying to bounce back from one of his few subpar outings. He got roughed up on the 4th of July. This is in the air to center field. Dexter will grab it. 2 down. Let's check another email. Aggie, is there if there is a disagreement between the pitcher and the catcher on a pitch to be thrown, who has the final say? Well,
pitcher.
Yeah, it's got to be, right?
The pitcher does, because that's the one in his heart of what he's going to be able to throw. This is what I'm going to use. You know, and a lot of times catchers come out. I mean, I'll give you a great story. When I first came to the big leagues and Phil Garner's hitting, and Ted Simmons, who I respected tremendously, is calling for a slider or for a fastball. And I kept shaking off. He comes out and he says, "Rookie, what do you want to throw?" And I had runners on second and third with Willie Stargell and Dave Parker standing in the on-deck circle in the bench, and it's a tie game. And I said, I want to go slider away. He went back behind home plate, never gave me a sign, and just sat down on the outside corner. Garner looked at him like, I guess you guys are going away. He got up, and I threw a slider in the dirt. Luckily, he swung and missed it. But I went in the dugout, and Teddy was mad that I didn't go with what he wanted. But in my heart, I knew that's the pitch I wanted to throw in that situation.
Austin Kearns is the pinch hitter. And the fastball beneath the knees. Kearns, a former member of the Cincinnati Reds. When he came up with the Reds, they thought he was going to be a big star as a corner outfielder, and he's had a solid career, but he's never reached star status. This is punched to the right side, a base hit. And that'll flip the lineup over to Niger Morgan. 25,314 in attendance. Good Tuesday night crowd.
17th appearance for Kearns as a pinch hitter, just the 3rd hit for him, and that's going to be it for Peralta. With Morgan coming up, they're going to go to the bullpen, bring Embry in to get the left-left match.
Yeah, Jim Tracy doing everything he can to get the game to Houston Street, hopefully with the Rockies a run up. He gets the nod. 8 shutout innings last night after complete game 2 at shutout at Dodger Stadium in his previous outing. And 2 hours and 12 minutes with a little help from Houston Street. The Rockies win 1-0 last night. Congrats to Jason Marquis, our Job Done Right Player of the Series, presented by the Colorado Association of Mechanical and Plumbing Contractors. To have your next building or service project done right the first time, visit mpccolorado.org. Alan Embry trying to get the final out in the 8th inning. Niger Morgan at the plate, 1 for 4. And picked off, and then Kearns fell down, dropped the ball, and he got a run down.
Yep.
Embry's involved right now, and Kearns is out. Where was Kearns going, George?
Well, not sure. but it got a little funny there for a while. But if you're scoring at home, I think it's just a whole bunch of people touched the ball, and Embry tagged him out.
That was not a classic rundown, but it works out for the Rockies. Nice job by Alan Embry. Didn't throw a pitch to the plate. He got the final out.
That's right. Now get the
And watch Austin Kearns. He takes off. It's clear why. And then he decides to take a header there between first and second. Embry throws, or Helton throws to Tulowitzki. Embry's got it now, and Allen's going to tag him out. Now, what's fascinating about this is if the Rockies score here, they're going to turn the baseball over to Houston Street. Alan Embry will be in line for the victory without throwing a pitch.
Nothing wrong with that, is it? There's some nights you wish you didn't throw one and you got a loss.
That's true.
So it's turn it around, go the other way.
Well, the Rockies will have Chris Iannetta to lead things off, to be followed by Carlos Gonzalez, and they're going to see a former, not a teammate of any of these guys unless you're Todd Helton, but Julian Tavares way back, pitched for the Rockies, 35-year-old.
He spent a lot of time with the Boston Red Sox.
He's pitching well, George.
Another Rocky was with this ball club just 10 days ago that cleared waivers today, Kip Wells, elected free agency.
There's 3 runs allowed in his last 17 appearances, and that slider is swung on and missed by Iannetta. 1-1. Chris is sacked fly back in the 4th. He's 0 for 2. Rockies have 1 hit since the 4th inning. That came last inning, a single by Brad Hopp. Rockies have on this homestand. You look at some of their averages through 4 ball games at home. Barmes was hitting over 300 coming in, and his average will go up. He's 2 for 3 tonight. Dexter Fowler is hitting around 200. Iannetta on the homestand is hitting below 200. Todd Helton's had a good homestand. Brad Hobb, until tonight, when he had 2 hits, came in at 154 on the homestand. Carlos Gonzalez is 1 for 8 on the homestand. So with 1 out, Carlos Gonzalez steps up. Remember, when the Rockies score 7 or more runs during any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the following day between 4 and 6. Get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink. Outside, good eye by Gonzalez.
Seth
1 for 2 in a walk.
Yeah, Seth Smith waiting in the on-deck circle. Pinch hitter extraordinaire. He's just 11 for 24 with 6 RBIs, and he falls behind 3-0 on Gonzalez.
There wasn't a lot masking that sign. Richie Dower, as Carlos Gonzalez backed out and looked down at Dower at third base coach, he put up 1 finger, take a strike. And that is high, and it gets away. And Gonzalez will go down to first base. So the Rockies have a stolen base threat at first, and Seth Smith, who has become the premier pinch hitter in the game, striding to the plate. He's hitting a click below 500 as a pinch hitter.
11 for 12, 6 RBIs as he takes a shot to try to win this game in the bottom of the 8th. Folks, 11 for 24 is pretty good. Last time I checked.
It's real good. Street will be aboard in the 9th regardless. When you're at home and it's tied, you put your closer in, generally speaking. The Rockies hope they're handing the baseball to Houston Street in a few minutes with a lead. See how the Rockies work things. Smith takes a pitch. Try to get a time on Tavares to the plate. Pretty quick. He was under 1-2 there.
He typically has been. He's worked most of his career. Other than that, a little time he's here with the Rockies out of the bullpen. So it's just a smart man. I mean, he knows how to work the pen. He knows how to work the counts. Try to get the double play balls.
Smith's got a 2-0 count. Runner going. Throw to second, and Gonzalez got the hand in.
Willie Harris didn't think so.
Carlos 5 for 5, stealing bases. Now he's out there for Smith.
You know, watch the reaction. Well, you're not going to see it here out in front. I mean, he is safe. The tag got there. Both hand and right hand. Lead hand got there a little bit ahead of the other one. Let's look at it again. Here comes the baseball. The hand. Ooh, that's close. Good call, though. Lance Barksdale, my favorite umpire right now.
Three 3-0 on Smith. 3-1. Outside, Tavares was hoping for that strike call. He glares in at Randy Marsh. 2 on for Dexter Fowler, and he's been called back. Ryan Spilborghs is going to pinch hit for Fowler.
Spilborghs just 1 for 9 as a pinch hitter, but many times has done very well right on right. And has handled it, and he's going to get a shot here from Jim Tracy to go in. It'll be a straight up switch defensively. Spilborghs can go to center or left and move Gonzalez over. And the actor's going down out to the mound.
Well, normally you would not see that Well, Dexter being pinch hit for, especially in a tight game late, you want his defense, but he's been struggling with the bat. Twice tonight he has struck out.
But he's bringing in the left-hander, Beimel.
That's interesting. That is really interesting. Four ball game, 2 on for the Rockies in the 8th. Spilborghs to pinch hit with 1 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. Gonzalez walked, he stole second, and then Smith pinch hitting walked. The Rockies announced Ryan Spilborghs to pinch hit for Dexter Fowler. Tavares, a right-hander, was on the hill, albeit he walked 2 in a row. And Manny Acta said, I want Joe Beimel, who's a left-hander. You don't normally see it. You normally say, all right, a lefty's going to come in like Beimel, a situational guy to face a lefty.
167 against Beimel, 1 for 6 Spilborghs has, and you got a right-hander right behind him, Clint Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, your lefties, Helton and Hopp, are 2 doors down. So here we go. Spilborghs to pinch hit. Tied at 4. Down low, ball 1.
Beimel, 14 walks in 32 innings, 20 strikeouts. So the ball gets put in play.
Spilborghs back up the middle. A chance for 2. Back throw. Throw to first. Safe there. Bases loaded. And you wonder why the Nationals have won 24 games.
Wow.
That was a double play ball, and Beimel threw it to Willie Harris. The only problem is Willie was 20 feet behind the bag.
Let's look at this again. I mean, I really, what are you going to do? I mean, this is something else, folks. Gets it hit right to him. So now he's going to turn around and look, and Harris is backing it up. Guzman was late getting to the bag when the ball was hit because he was playing over the pool with Spilborghs up. See, look how far he is over into the hole. The ball's hit. Well, maybe he hesitated because he thought Willie was coming.
That's awful. If you're sitting in the Nationals dugout, you're just shaking your head. Strike on Barmes. Now the infield's got to come in. You got great speed, George, at third. Jim Tracy has 1 out. You squeeze?
No. I'm going to let Barmes swing it back. He got 42 RBIs in the season. He swung the bat well, 41 RBIs. He's got a hit and a walk, 2 hits tonight. Let him swing it.
0-2.
Runs well. You know, if the infield pulled in like this, when the ball's hit like this, you got to be very quick with your feet to get in position where you be able to turn the double play ball. That's the other side of it.
Yeah, very good speed at every base. Tied at 4, 1 out, bases loaded. 8th inning. in the old center field. This is plenty deep enough. Morgan does not throw well. Two guys broke. Smith is tagged out.
The run scored.
And it's a double play, but the Rockies get the go-ahead run. So Barmes comes through, plating Gonzalez on a sac fly, and Houston Street will try to nail this one down. 5-4 Rockies. Four, thanks to circus-like defense by the Washington Nationals. But it doesn't make a difference to the Rockies. They're up a run. They're going to hand the baseball to Houston Street. And coming up after the ball game, as always, the post-game report with Tom Helmer. Hey, Tom.
And we're a bit of a circus ourselves. After the ball game, we'll get you into the clubhouse. Also, we'll talk about multiplicity. Clint Barmes, another multi-hit game. We'll talk about how he's doing at the plate. And also Franklin Morales, big in his return to the Rockies with that, getting that out with the bases loaded in the 6th inning. We'll break it all down right after the ball game. Drew?
All right, thank you. I appreciate it, Tom. Carlos Gonzalez moves to center field. Ryan Spilborghs comes in and plays left. The pitcher of record right now for the Rockies is a guy who did not throw a pitch in the game, Alan Embry.
How nice is that, huh?
Well, Doug did some research, and as far back as he could go, which was 1990, the computer wouldn't spit out anything before then. It's only been one occurrence where a pitcher won a game without throwing a pitch since 90. Houston Street to Niger Morgan, ball 1. And that was in 2003, May 1st, Baltimore against Detroit. B.J. Ryan won a ball game for the Orioles without throwing a pitch. Morgan a tough out. Here's the 1-0. Swung on and missed on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
Got to go all the way back to June 18th when Tampa was in town that he is even allowed a run. Talking about Houston Street, how dominant is that? 8 games. Come on, that's Rembrandt. Bring it up. Not cheering or anything, but thought I'd just throw out the Rembrandt thing for a second.
Two balls and a strike on Morgan. 1 for 4. Nick Johnson behind him's had a very good night. And this ball is fouled off late, 2-2.
Well, make sure you come out and support July 10th and 11th. All right, it's the Children's Miracle Network that benefits this, and it's really pretty neat. Stop by section 132, pick up a mystery bag with an autographed baseball from one of the Rockies players or manager Jim Tracy for a donation of $40. This has been a great success in the past, so stop by section 132, July 10th or 11th, and spend the $40, get the grab bags. You can choose another mystery bag containing an item signed by a former Rockies player also. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Morgan.
What an odd ball game, George. I mean, you have the Embry situation where he may get a W without the benefit of having to exercise his left arm. That's what I'm talking about. He fires a ball to the second baseman who's backing up. Even the end of the inning, the Rockies butchered that. They should still be hitting right now. And a base running blunder. This is a hard ground ball to short. Good pickup by Tulowitzki. He's got a gun. He does. And he gets the glove salute from Todd Helton. Good play by Tulowitzki. 1 out, and that's an enormous out because Morgan can fly. That's what Street has done consistently. Get the leading lead.
Well, you have to. I mean, if you don't, then you're just asking for trouble. As soon as you walk a guy like Morgan, now you can either steal second, you bunt him over, he gets into scoring position, and steal third. I mean, this guy's got some wheels.
Nick Johnson, a walk, a single, and a walk. Fouled off. You know, going all the way back in this ball game, the Rockies were down 4-1, and the Nationals played a miserable inning defensively. They would have been out of the inning 4-2, but Willie Harris at second base, where you have all kinds of time, a routine ground ball from Dexter Fowler, and it just ate him up.
It's a crazy game, and again, as bad as what you might want to think Hamill pitched, he kept you in it for 5 2/3 innings, and then the bullpen took over. Had the one bad pitch, couple of bad pitches. Sit down.
Yeah, this ball's hit well. Spilborgh's going back. He's going to get there. Nice job by Ryan Spilborghs. Taking a double away from Nick Johnson. 2 outs and nobody on.
Well, they've hit 2 balls hard, but they've been right at people. That play made by Spilborghs, a nice play over into the gap for the second out. And again, Spilly just coming into the ball game in left field. Gonzalez moving over to center field.
And now you get the slider, George, back in play with Zimmerman coming up from the right side.
You don't want to get done up the plate. I mean, that's the one guy you try to avoid with a man on, obviously. But you can work that hard slider down and away. An important factor with this guy at the plate, keep the ball down below the belt line and the thigh line. Sinkers and sliders down. Don't get something up. Magnetta sets up on the outside corner.
And that is painted on the outside corner, a strike. Zimmerman gave the Nationals a 4-1 lead with a 3-run bomb to center back in the 3rd inning. Here's the 0-1. Slider, 1-1. Again, the Rockies post-game report will follow. We'll cover this one end to end. Go inside the locker room, hear from the skipper, Jim Tracy. Rockies ahead 5-4. Stewart guarding the line at third base. And this ball is pulled foul.
Hit off the end of the bat, though. It's not very deep. He just got out in front of it, cheated on it a little bit. Got too far out in front and hooked it up into the seats.
Houston Street takes a walk. Trying to get himself ready to execute one more pitch, he hopes. 1-2. He's ahead of Zimmerman. Slider away again, George?
Why not? Keep everything moving away from him. Don't allow him to get anything to that inner half. As you do, then you open up to that front side cheat and pull.
Slider away. See you later. There's your ball game. Houston Street does it again. The Rockies win it 5-4. They scratch out a run with the Nationals' help at the bottom of the 8th. They take advantage and win the baseball game. 2 straight against the Nationals, and the Rockies improve to 44-39, and Allen